Well. We find ourselves here again for another classic episode of Nitwits. Now, this episode of Nitwits is going to be a little different because I have two different things I want to talk about. And I actually feel really bad that I'm going to be combining one of those things with the other thing because by all rights and privileges, it really should be its own thing. The problem is I have a lot of stuff to do this week and I don't have time to make it its own separate thing, but I want to cover it. It's not the usual thing I would cover anymore, but like I want to make I want to cover it, but I also am just really busy this week. And I'm sorry, HG Tudor. I'm sorry. You really should take priority. I know that you really should take priority, but sometimes reality just kicks in and there's more important things. And I'm sorry, HG Tudor, this is not something you normally cover either. But I want to talk about a couple things, and I'm going to tell you what the fun thing is first, and we're going to do it last. So the carrot that I'm going to hold out to you guys to make it through the drama part of the stream is that I am actually going to do something productive at the end of the stream. The first part of the stream is going to be completely unproductive. It's going to be unproductive. It's going to be ill-advised. It's going to be all of the things I shouldn't do on the internet, but F you guys, I'm an Aries. I'm going to do them anyway because I'm sick of this. But I promise you, we will do something productive at the end of the stream, okay? And the thing that we're going to do that's productive at the end of the stream that I'm actually really excited about is our narcissistic psychopath friend, HG Tudor, released a video this week about the transgender narcissist, and the thumbnail's not showing up, but let me go back to his page and I'll show you guys the thumbnail if the browser wants to work. No, what the hell? Come on, browser. Come on. Do your job. You have one job, browser. Okay, there it is right there. HG Tudor is a narcissistic psychopath, and he actually has a really good YouTube channel in which he gives a lot of really helpful advice about narcissism because he's self-aware of what he is, and it's actually really interesting. Now, he does way too much content on Meghan Markle, though. His other content is much better. He's been doing a lot of Meghan Markle content. I understand why he's doing it. It makes him his money. I understand, but he does like 8,000 Meghan Markle videos a day. Okay, maybe only 5 or 6, but I stopped watching HG Tudor because he did too much Meghan Markle content. Okay, I admit it. I did. I was really interested in his content for a while. I binge watched a lot of it. I read like 15 of his books. His ideas are very helpful. I think his talents would be much better used in talking about the queer Marxists, which he is calling the transgender narcissists, but they're the queer Marxists. But every once in a while, he graces us with a video on some anti-woke stuff, and so I want to watch this transgender narcissist video that he did that's like 18 minutes long, and I want to talk about that. And by all rights and privileges, this should be its own episode. And I acknowledge that. HG Tudor is deserving of his own episode, okay? But like I said, I'm really busy this week, and I can't make it its own episode. I tried, but there's some stuff I want to do tomorrow. And, you know, sometimes life just, not everyone gets a pony, and not everything is fair, and I'm sorry, okay? So we're going to do that at the end. But before we get to that, we are going to have a discussion about stepmom Deb Filman. Again. Because Deb is still running her mouth on Twitter because she just can't help herself. And I don't care about optics. So if Deb wants to run her mouth on Twitter, then I, am going to do a stream, if I feel like it, responding to Step Mom Deb. Yes. Deb is a MILFs for Liberty simp. Deb pretty much only tweets with other MILFs for Liberty simps, up to and including James Lindsay. And I honestly wouldn't even care hell or high water about Deb, except that Deb is obsessed with me. And she is completely unhinged from reality when it comes to me. And Deb has caused me a lot of problems. Deb has for years been privately messaging people, lying about me. Deb tried to steal my community members away from me to get them to join her community after she tried to steal my work and I called her out on it. And I covered a lot of this stuff in the previous Nitwits episode that I did, and I'm not going to rehash all of it. If you want the backstory on Deb Filman colluding with a couple other people who are completely irrelevant to try to steal my ideas and implement them herself, and then failing spectacularly because I found out about it, and then privately messaging everyone and their mother saying, Carlin is this and Carlin is that, Carlin is this, other thing. Now, all of this happened 2.5 years ago. This happened at the end of 2021. 2.5 fucking years ago. All right? Deb Filman has not shut up about me since. And I let a lot of it go. I would respond and retaliate every once in a while. But for the most part, I think Deb is like roughly the equivalent of like a screaming hyena. And no one really likes her. And none of my community liked her. I found out after she was unceremoniously booted out. And so I really just more or less tried to ignore Deb's bullshit. I would respond if I needed to, but like whatever. I've come to the point though where Deb has now gotten herself in a little bit of trouble. And I'm sorry, I reveled in that trouble because Deb, what happened is like a week ago, Deb tweeted out something that was overtly racist. And I'm not saying woke racist. I'm not saying like fake racism. I'm not saying like some SJW said she was racist. Deb was mocking a little black girl smiling. Okay. Deb went beyond. She went beyond normal nonsense. And when Deb tweeted out something overtly racist, she got dragged by over 6 million people on Twitter. And it was beautiful and it was glorious. And then I decided that it was time to talk about Deb. Because in the midst of her getting dragged by 6 million people on Twitter, she was also, of course, complaining about me. Because this was all somehow my fault. It was my Deb. If I could make something go viral to the tune of 6 million people, girl, I would do it all the time. But I don't know how I got blamed for this. So I retaliated. And I made a Nitwits episode telling the entire backstory of Deb Filman's bullshit, okay? And I was just going to let it be because I said my piece and I told the stories I had to tell. And I was just going to let it go. But Deb won't shut the F up. And if Deb wants to act like when Deb is like 60 years old, okay? Like the behavior that Deb engages in at like 60 years old. I don't know what is Deb having like a late midlife crisis. I don't know what the F. Like I will fully admit that I had a midlife crisis and became a YouTuber, okay? I used to have a fully respectable profession that I dream of going back to, and maybe I will someday when I've got this worked out of my system. I will fully admit that I had a midlife crisis when I turned 40 and I became a YouTuber. And it was an accident and I fell into it, but like there are no accidents, I guess. But like I kind of feel like Deb has done the same thing, except unlike me who landed in this by accident, Deb purposefully wants to be a YouTuber at like 60 years old. And she acts like an unhinged hooligan on like all social media. And so I really just feel like maybe she has regressed into her teenage years, and maybe Deb was like the unpopular girl in school, and so now Deb feels as though she's part of like the popular kids clique and she's reliving all of her high school years. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, but this is not my problem. Deb should be working this out with a therapist. But she's not. She's working through her feelings about me on Twitter. And I just wanted to show you guys some of the feelings that Deb and her friends have been working themselves through since the last episode of Nitwits, because there's been some development since then, okay? And then, if we feel like it, and we might not because I don't know how long this is going to take, I have a video pulled up of Deb because in the last episode of Nitwits, we found out that Deb was watching my first episode of Socialism Saturday, and then she decided to try to copy my socialism video. She took the content, she reacted to it. Deb had no idea the socialism stuff was going on. She saw me talking about it, and then Deb ripped me off, and I proved that in the last video. I mean, she's welcome to stream about whatever she wants to stream, but when Deb is randomly streaming about socialism, the exact same video that I streamed one day after me, it's a little suspicious because this wasn't something Deb was covering, and then all of a sudden she was one day after I did. Huh? Okay, Deb. So last time we watched the video that Deb did covering transgender Marxism, and of course, predictably, because this is not something Deb does, Deb didn't know shit about what was going on, and my audience fact checked her the entire time, and Deb probably had some feelings about that. So I thought this time, maybe if we feel like it, we could watch another Deb reaction video. This time her reacting to something to do with Glisten and the National Education Association. And this one's only from 5 months ago. So with the transgender Marxism video, we can understand why Deb might not understand transgender Marxism, right? Because it was 2 years ago, I didn't really understand it then either. I was learning. I can give some grace to a 60-year-old bitch who would never give grace to me, but that's okay. That's okay. I can be the bigger person, Deb. Can. But this video was only recorded 5 months ago. And so I would hope and cross my fingers that Deb's knowledge of what is going on in the world possibly would have increased between the time that she watched the transgender Marxism video that she got because I watched it and this one. I would expect Deb's knowledge to be a little bit higher. Wouldn't that make sense? I mean, she had a year and a half to learn, so why wouldn't it be higher? So I thought that maybe once we're done looking at the stuff that's going on Twitter, we could watch this much shorter Glisten reaction video, because we know Glisten. We've watched Glisten a lot, so we know Glisten. And we can see if Deb has expanded her knowledge about what is going on in the world, or if she has just spent the last couple years reeing and whining and complaining and bitching and moaning on Twitter all day, every day, for clout and attention and whatever it is that Deb is trying to accomplish in her 60-year-old midlife crisis. So does that sound good to everyone? And then we're gonna end on a high note with HG Tudor, and that is the plan. That is the plan. Okay? Does that sound good? Now, if this is not already clear, if you are here expecting me to be on my best behavior, this is not the stream for that. Okay? I did a serious stream earlier. I did a 3-hour socialism stream. If you want to watch socialism and have like a serious adult conversation about abolish the family, which Deb Filman does not understand, you can go and watch the earlier video, all right? But do not expect me to be on my best behavior. Nitwits is not about me being on my best behavior. Nitwits is about me being bitchy on the internet because I need an outlet for this aggression, okay? This is how I stay sane. I watch way too much socialism. Sometimes I need to just like I could go and like hit a punching bag, I suppose, but sometimes this is just as good. So what I've got is a whole bunch of tweets pulled up that we're going to look at. But I also have beer. I have right now, and I encourage you all to drink as well. I don't know how long we're going to be here. I have 2 imperial beers from Southern Tier that I haven't tried yet, and I'm very, very excited about this. And because Southern Tier is one of my favorite breweries, if you've never had Southern Tier is the brewer of the iconic Pumpkin, which is the best pumpkin beer you'll ever have in your life. And they come out with new beers every once in a while. And I highly encourage everyone to try them if you haven't. And they have 2 new beers out, and one is French Toast and one is Mocha. And they're both Imperials, which means they're 8.6% alcohol. So a little bit more, like almost double normal, but not quite double. And I'm going to be drinking some Imperial beer as we work our way through our evening. And I think I want to start with French Toast. No vote. You guys don't get a vote. I just want to show you. Okay, let me put Mocha in my cooler. Hang on. Sometimes I get to make the decision about which beer I drink. Are you guys drinking anything fun tonight? Let me know. Let me get this. I actually have to have a bottle opener for this. And I have my other beer glass from earlier. So cheers, everyone. We're going to see if this French Toast Imperial beer from Southern Tier is good. Patrick is drinking some water. Cheers. Cheers, cheers. Sunspot says, please show restraint and manners. We all come from poise and compunction. Yes, you all come from my poise and compunction. Yes. This does smell like French toast. Legit. I was surprised. Oh my God, it's so alcoholic though. It's so alcoholic, but it smells like French toast. Oh shit, I'm gonna get drunk. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. All right. Oh, Dan, you're featured in this. Now, Dan, I covered up your name. I wanted to be known, Dan. I tried to protect your identity. I covered up your name. Deb did not cover up your name, Dan. I'm sorry. This is actually genuine though. Okay, like when Dan and I met and started like communicating with each other, I didn't know that Dan was also communicating with Deb. And I didn't know that I was like inserted, like that I was going to be inserted into like a budding feud over this. I really didn't. And so, Dan, I apologize. I really do. I didn't know you were talking to Deb. I didn't know this was going to cause problems. I am genuinely and sincerely sorry that you got dragged into this because you're a good dude and you work so hard and you're trying to do good work. And this isn't bullshit that you should have to deal with. And it's stupid. Not because of you, but because of Deb. So I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. And I wish it didn't have to be this way. We like Dan. Dan is trying to build a library association to compete with the American Library Association. He's a good dude. And he doesn't deserve this bullshit, Deb. He doesn't deserve this bullshit. All right. Let's dig in. Let me make sure I have everything set up so that you're only seeing what I want you to see. Now, speaking of Dan, I wanted to start off with this because this is going to become relevant during this little discussion. Because Deb herself, you did not see my porn bot. I don't have any porn on this computer. I don't even like porn. Porn is gross for the most part. Anyway, Deb herself, in the course of the discussion tonight, reveals more private messages from this conversation. So I wanted to start off with this because in the last Nitwits episode that I did, I told you that one of the things that Deb does against me is she private messages people and threatens them that if they work with me at all, that she will publicly go after them. And this is not the only time this has happened. I know of at least 3 other people that this has happened to. Like how activists that you would know the names of if I said them. Now I'm not going to say them, but like this has happened over and over and over and over and over again. Like I'm minding my own business. I don't want anything to do with Deb. Deb isn't even doing anything that I'm interested in anyway. But I'm trying to do my thing over here where I'm like decoding socialism and helping with like school stuff and helping to find documents and things like that. Iris, this is not a serious thing. This is a drama stream. This is not serious. Don't judge me for this, Iris. I know you're new to me, but this is just drama. You don't have to stay if you don't want drama. It's cool. We'll still be friends. Anyway, so I'm doing my own stuff. And I just want to be left alone at this point. Okay? But I still do talk to and communicate with like quite a few people like in the space just because there really aren't that many of us, and so it just makes sense to like talk and communicate when like we can help each other, like whatever. And so every single time that Deb found out that I was communicating with someone, instantly she would message that person and be like, you better denounce them, and she's a horrible person for reasons X, Y, B, and Z, and me. Well, this is one example of that. And sometimes people would send me screenshots. Sometimes people would tell me about it. Sometimes I would hear about it years after it effing happened. In which, in this one, you can see this is Deb's Twitter account, the Owl of Athena. We still don't know why Deb is going by the Owl of Athena on Twitter, but that is Deb's Twitter account. This one was basically, Deb was pissed off because I got added to a group chat of people who were coordinating to like do things against the left, right? And I didn't know Deb was in the group chat when I got added, and I saw it immediately and I was like, "Oh, this isn't going to go well." And apparently what happened is Deb messaged the owner of the group chat and like was like, "Why are you talking to Carlin?" And me. Carlin is a horrible person. Me. And she complained about it. I didn't message the person running the group chat and complain about Deb. Deb was targeting me because she wanted me to get kicked out of the group chat. Well, the person running the group chat basically told Deb to suck an egg in a very nice and gentlemanly way. And so Deb got pissed off that she couldn't get me kicked out of the group chat. And she said, and she messaged this person, "We are done. You do you. You made your choice. I disagree vehemently." And then Deb blocked this person on Twitter, right? Well, a while later, I was doing a stream in which I don't actually even remember what happened, but there was a fleeting mention of Deb in which I said that Deb had a giant stick up her ass and she really needed to find a man to take her out of control and consensually like tie her to a bed or something and take advantage consensually. I didn't say anything about like, grape or anything like that. I didn't say that. I said, you need to find a man to consensually take you out of control because you have a giant stick up your ass, and it would be the best thing that ever happened, Deb. And I stand by this. The best thing that Deb could ever do in her 60-year-old life is to find a man to tie her to a bed and consensually dominate her. This would change Deb's life. I promise you. It would be great for possibly everyone. Or at the bare minimum, can someone just fuck Deb, please? Just like, you don't have to tie her up or anything, but can someone like, you can still have sex in your 60s, Deb. It's okay. And you really need to, girl. You really need to. We can all sense it. Anyway. So on this stream, you can see that's like, I'm talking about Deb and I'm saying she needs to consensually get dominated, whatever the hell, blah, 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 blah. So Deb gets pissed off again because the person that she tried to get me kicked out of like the group chat with, like, he was on the stream and he showed up and said, "Hi, Deb, I'm watching Carlin," just because he's a little instigator too. No offense, but you are. Come on. And so Deb, when she saw that this person had the nerve to be watching one of my streams where I said something about Deb unblocked this person and then said, hang on, let me get this a little bit bigger so maybe people can see it. And then said, unblocked long enough to let you know you're exactly who I thought you were. Got your message. I'll be sure to make sure everyone who cares about kids know you chose a psychotic pedo apologist who just openly called for me to be graped. Happy Thanksgiving. So now Deb is pissed off that someone that she couldn't control, like, was watching one of my streams, and she unblocked him to call me a psychotic pedo loving apologist who called for her to be raped, because quite frankly, I think I had some temerity and maybe some I don't know, compunction. I don't know exactly the right word, but I will say that I gave Deb very, very, very good advice when I said that the best thing that she could do in her life is to find a man to tie her to a bed and dominate her consensually, because maybe, just maybe, that would remove the giant stick from her ass. So, we covered that on the last stream, but this is going to become relevant. Now, when I did the last stream, Deb has a friend. Deb has a friend named Una. Una is also friends with Carrie Smith. Does everyone remember Carrie Smith? Carrie Smith is the woman with the obvious and clear dissociative disorder who was harassing me for like 3 years. And I wrote a whole Substack about it called survivingcarriesmith.substack.com if you want to relive that whole nightmare. Carrie also makes a brief cameo in this because, of course, Carrie is still obsessed with me as well. But Una is friends with Carrie and also friends with Deb because, of course, Carrie is friends with Deb, not because they really like each other, but because they both hate me. In fact, you know what's so interesting about this entire scenario is there is this whole community of people who have come together, who don't actually like each other, who have nothing in common except a shared hatred of me, because they've all tried to F with me in some way, and none of it has actually done what they wanted to do, which is get me to shut up and go away. And so they've all come together to form an entire little friend group around hating me, which is kind of weird, but like it's also fascinating from like a psychological perspective to like peer into that little community and to see all of the insanity that bubbles up from it. And you're going to see some of that insanity tonight. And it's pretty cool, actually. Anyway, so this is Una, and this is actually a shame because Una actually is kind of smart about some of the Marxist stuff. Kind of smart. I've heard her say a smart thing here and there, but Una is so fucking stupid when it comes to Deb and Carrie that it cancels out any possible benefit she could have with the Marxist stuff. So while I was doing the Nitwit stream, or maybe it was a little bit after it, I'm not sure, but Una got pissed off at my last Nitwit stream, and she actually came into the comments and she called me a horrible person in my own comments, and I responded saying, this is Deb's friend Una. But Una also decided to talk about me on Twitter, and she says, Carlin B, without tagging me, of course, because she's not brave enough to do that, has decided to target my dear friend, Deb Filman. I've had it with this woman, and this time she's even showing exactly what I've been explaining in our recent videos on scapegoating and our previous one on Mean Girls. Carlin's psychopathic smirk is all she has. I'm tired of seeing her go after my friends. So this is why I say that any knowledge that Una has about the left is canceled out by her derangement, because the fact of the matter is literally all I did in the last video was show receipts of things that Deb has said. So if Una is not capable of grappling with, screenshots and tweets and stuff that happened and evidence, then how could I possibly trust Una's opinion on anything, really? It's just too bad. Smart people get sucked into derangement all the time. If Una can break her way out of this mind cult that she's gotten herself wrapped into, maybe she could be useful someday. But here we are. Anyway, so there was entire conversation about me. She dared to call a tweet Deb made where a kid was wearing a revolution shirt as racist. She's a sick puppy. Well, I don't know about that. They also all say that I have a cluster B narcissism. They all call me a cluster B narcissist all the effing time. It's their favorite insult. Whatever. Show us that psychopathic smirk. Is it this one? That's what we're talking about? Probably. All right. Una also wrote a follow-up thread all about me. Let's see. What was the time difference on this one? This one was January 31st. Oh, no. So 2 days later, Una wrote a follow-up thread all about me. She tagged me this time. Observing what Carlin has chosen to do to people, most recently to Deb Filman, is easy to simply dismiss as an insecure bully trying to monetize drama with empty accusations and self-centered narcissistic motivations. Her juvenile approach makes this seem even more true. However, the reality is much more severe than that. But the good news is that understanding why is a way of understanding a much broader picture and then defeating it. There is power in that sense of powerlessness that Carlin exploits. What do I mean? We'll get to that in a second. Does this nitwitting stream help you? I promise I'm not. It does, because it allows me to address issues on the internet with nonsense being created by people, and it's also just fun, and I enjoy it. And sometimes it's okay to have drama, okay? Listen, guys, like I said, if you don't want to watch drama, you don't have to be here. If you want the serious stuff, I did that earlier, but it gives me an outlet in which I can blow off steam. I put up with a lot of bullshit online, and sometimes it's nice to blow off steam. It helps us all laugh. We have a good time with it. And people don't have to be here. If they don't want to be here, they don't have to be here. It's really that simple. Adults need to take responsibility for the things that they click on and consume. All right. Here is what Una says. Someone tell Deb her ass is not a... Thank you, MacB. Thank you. All right. So there is power in that sense of powerlessness that Carlin exploits. What do I mean? Let's see. Thus, the power structure through the agency of those who carry out the sanctions, thus anonymous components of the system, will spew the greengrocer dissident from its mouth. The system, through its alienating presence in people, will What the fuck is this? I'm not reading all that. I'm sorry, Una. See, guys, listen. This is why I'm important in this space, because these people write a fucking essay on the internet and they really expect that people are going to read that and comprehend it. Now, could I understand it if I wanted to take the time to read it? Yeah, I'm sure I could. I'm not stupid. But why on earth would I read this whole goddamn essay? This is like an essay of word salad. The reason that people like my work is that I break it down and I make it simple, and I don't make them read fucking essays on Twitter. Yeah, I don't know that we're that invested in this to learn how to speak Una to decipher a fucking essay. All right, so Una complained and Una had some feelings. Now, the reason that I bring this up is Deb replied to some of Una's feelings. And let's see. So this was in that thread that I was just reading. Deb replied to this. Una says she blocked me a while back when I criticized her misuse of the term art as a description of what she does. Oh, they're pissed off at my merch store. They're like so teed off that I have a merch store called Unwoke Art because the alliteration is good if we're honest about it. And the reason they're pissed off is because I use AI to at least do like the initial concepts on the stuff I have in the store. And so they're like, Carly can't call her store Unwoke Art because it's not real art, it's AI. And they're crying all over the fucking internet about it. While I'm selling merch out of my store, and I've got some great merch in my store. If you haven't checked out my store yet, I've got some great merch. I got a couple sale items right now, including the iconic Socialists Always Lie t-shirt. I just launched the Radical Anti-Democracy Extremist t-shirt. You guys can eat a dick. I will do whatever I want with my fucking time, and if that involves making AI art into merchandise that I sell on the internet to help fund what I'm doing, you guys can fillet a cactus if you think you're going to be able to control me doing that, okay? Anyway, so Una's pissed off that I'm doing AI art. Her tactics are typical, her arguments are typical, and her methods of viewing success and impactful ideas as well as so-called ownership is typical. She's a mediocre thug with one tool, an axe to grind. I hadn't read this before. Yes, we do have a new Plague Doctor. Do you want to see the new Plague Doctor? Hang on, time out. We can do a new Plague Doctor. I'll come back and read this again. Nitwitch streams are a little bit more informal, okay, guys? We do have a new Plague Doctor. This is the new Plague Doctor. Made with AI art, and you guys can suck it. It's great. And it says on the back, the socialist revolution is real, and redirects people to my wiki. I mean, come on, I've already sold some of these. Deb's all pissed off because I'm making t-shirts that people like. Or Una, in this case, is all pissed off that I'm making t-shirts that people like. Whatever. Okay. So Una says she's a mediocre thumb. She's a mediocre thug with one tool, an axe to grind. Were it not for the genius of the crowd, she'd still be trying to claw her way up HR at the Ivy League or some other place where her nature could exploit her love for psychological manipulation and esoteric mumbo jumbo. Una, I was a featured speaker at the biggest HR conferences in the fucking world before I decided to take a break from that during the pandemic to do this. So you can suck a dick. If I wanted to go do HR consulting and go do corporate training, where, by the way, I would make more money than I'm making now, I could go back and do that any effing time. And don't think I haven't considered it. But right now, this is more important, and you can have all the feelings you want about that. It wouldn't even be that hard for me to get back into the HR stuff if I wanted to. It wasn't hard the first time. It sure as shit wouldn't be hard this time. Kate, thank you. Still love my real Marxism sweater dress. Let's take a look at Kate's sweater dress because it's really cool. Hang on. I'll show you guys what she's talking about. Here it is. This one. This is a rad sweater, guys. I have one of these with a different design on it, but I love it. I love it. It's so comfortable and cozy and soft, and it's more expensive than most of the stuff in the store, but it's totally worth it. I wear mine all the time. This one has the real Marxism design on it. There are a couple other styles if you want them, but yeah, that's what she's talking about. It's a good sweater. It is. Jenny's getting inky with it said, and to think I was irrelevant. I know. I'm so irrelevant. I'm so irrelevant that they spend all their time talking about me on Twitter. So Una is convinced that if I wasn't doing this, I would still be like trying to crawl my way into the HR big leagues or something like that, which is unhinged from reality, but okay. The time we are in now is the most dangerous because it elevates such people into perceived power, shows immediate results that fuel their fragile egos, and indulges their conflation of dopamine hits and commiseration with true joy. She is a useful idiot. So, okay, I'm a useful idiot for something. I don't know exactly what I'm a useful idiot for because Una doesn't enumerate that. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get some answers later. Sassy says, I want you to speak at a conference here. I'm trying to make that invite happen. Oh, thank you, Sassy. I appreciate that. I'm thinking about getting back into speaking in terms of like trying to go out and talking about the socialist stuff. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. We'll see. If it's meant to happen, it will happen. Yup, they're literally making all of this up. This is literally unhinged from reality. Carlin's method of attending leftist trainings online and in real life is so effective that the American Library Association just blocked me from attending a Zoom on how school librarians use kids for agitprop. You know, listen, man, you don't have to like me and you don't have to agree with me all the time. And Dan and I disagree on some things, but Dan is an adult and Dan knows that we can disagree on some things politically and still work together where it makes sense to work together. That's what adults do. Not all of us need to be best friends. And I actually do like Dan a lot. I think Dan's a good guy. But like, even if I didn't think Dan was a good guy, if he wanted to work with me, that and it made sense, then you do it because there aren't enough people in our space doing this crap. And we're constantly in a circular goddamn firing squad. And I've said this for years. I will work with anyone who wants to behave like an adult and actually get shit done. The sad reality of the anti-woke space is that most people in it are not adults and don't care about actually getting anything done. But Deb responded to this and she says this applies. So Deb has now put a Rand quote. Let's see what this says. Envy is regarded by most people as petty, superficial emotion, and therefore it serves as a semi-human cover for so inhuman an emotion that those who feel it seldom dare to admit it even to themselves. So now I'm envious of Deb. Today, the emotion is I don't know what that word is, the sense of life of our culture. It is all around us. We are drowning in it. It is almost explicitly confessed by its more brazen exponents that emotion is hatred of the good for being the good. So Deb thinks that I'm envious of her because she's just so good and I hate everything that's good. Does that make any sense to anyone? Janet asked, does the hoodie dress fit true to size or recommend going a size up? I want to size up, Janet. And it's like, it's comfortable. Like, I'll say that, like, it's comfortable. So I would definitely recommend just like a size up if I had to choose. So Deb put that there. And Una replies, I don't think it applies as much as her need to hold you and many in contempt does. She doesn't feel envy as much as she's too hollow to feel it. Okay. Una continues with an essay and a poem, apparently. I'm not going to read a fucking poem. But I wanted to show you this. Because in our next screen, I think, now, Deb, she just replied to Una with this, but that's not enough for Deb. Deb now has to take exactly the same image and say and tweet it out to her entire audience saying, sound familiar? And she tags all of the people who Deb is only friends with because they hate me. Every single person Deb tagged in that tweet is only friends with Deb because they hate me. They can't stand each other otherwise. So Deb is still like ripping about this, basically. And here's Carrie. Here's Carrie saying, oh, yes, I know that demon Carlin. because Carrie is convinced that I'm the Antichrist and a psychopath and a sociopath and all sorts of other things. And Carrie always has to pop her nose in. And then one of Carrie's stalkers, this person who stalks every single thing that I do online. Let me, like, if I showed you this person's Twitter account, it would be a solid wall of me. That's it. And I look very tan in that video. That was from a while ago. I don't even remember what that video is from, but they cut this thing out of context when they were like in the midst of harassing me, and I was like, "Why the fuck are you guys doing this? This is ridiculous." Anyway, still posting. That's a video of me from years ago. From years ago, because I haven't worn that hat in a long time. And so then Deb replies to this and said, Carrie is a decent human being who is deeply loved and respected by people worthy of the same from her in return. Carrie has a purpose in life. Carlin has utility. The distinction is vital. And then Carrie says, thank you, sweet lady. I'm blessed to have you as a friend. It's just one of Deb and Carrie's friends that like just posts about me on Twitter like constantly. And then what else happened? Let's see. There's some more stuff in this. Oh, this is great. You guys are going to love this. Deb has now started making AI art of me. Because actually, you know what, Deb? Let's give the full effect, Deb. Let's give the full effect. I know I'm wearing a red hat, so it won't quite be the same. But let's give the full effect, Deb. Deb is really teed off that I am now identifying as the Unabomber on streams. Not that I'm making bombs or anything, but just in terms of look. Deb is pissed off at my new look for streaming. And Deb is so pissed off at my new look that she's making AI art to call me fat and to make fun of my streaming look. Because remember, guys, these people rag on my store all the time because I dare use AI art to create the merch in my store. But they're totally allowed to use AI art to create images of me because don't you know, they're allowed to do everything that they rag on me for doing constantly. There we go. Now my glasses are clean so I can actually see. So that's very adult of Deb. Remember, Deb is like 60 years old making AI art because she's pissed off that I'm wearing sunglasses and hoodies on a stream. Does that seem unhinged to anyone else? Let's see. Is there anything else to this? Oh, now we have, this is another one of their friends. This is also supposed to be me, by the way. Isn't that nice and mature of them? This is another one of the, this is Lime Lady. Lime Lady came to one of my community Zooms and was treated very nicely by everyone. And then she turned into a psychopath and has been complaining about me ever since. I mean, I think everyone should use AI art. I love AI art. I think that AI art is awesome. I think that it allows people to be creative in a way that we didn't have before, in a way that is like, you know, it takes a lot less time, and I think that it's great. So they can use AI art if they want. I don't really care. I'm just pointing out that this is what they choose to do with it. All right, let's see what else we have. So I found this out last night because Deb posted this on her Twitter when her Twitter account was still private after she got dragged by 6 million people for being racist on the internet. And then this account popped up, and this account has been stalking me literally since I got well known on the internet and is trying to embarrass me. And of course, they pick a tweet from 2021 to try to embarrass me. And even like Frank McCormick was like, why the fuck am I even being tagged in this? Because this person is friends with Deb and Carrie and is trying to cause problems by tagging people in a tweet, essentially. Now, here we can see that Deb is complaining about me leaving videos of her up on my YouTube channel, because Deb was on my channel back in the day. I supported Deb. I told my community to support Deb. This was before Deb revealed her true colors as being a psychopath. I was trying to help elevate Deb. I was trying to help Deb build a platform. I was trying to help Deb build a community. I was nothing but nice to Deb until she tried to steal my shit and call it her own. And now Deb is complaining that I left videos of her up on my YouTube channel. I mean, I guess I can take them down, but like, is this really like what we're doing now? Deb indeed did wear out her welcome. Deb was a pain in the ass. She annoyed people in my community, even when they supported her, and she wore out her welcome. Sorry, Deb. Too bad, so sad. This is true of a lot of people. I introduced a lot of people to Deb, and literally all Deb had to do was not fly off the goddamn crazy train. And then, of course, we have Sloan Ratchmuth, who says, I'm a bitch. Sloan hates me because I think that what's happening in Palestine is a genocide. I'm sorry if you disagree. I know there are people in the chat who disagree with me. We're allowed to disagree, but some people disagree with me so hard that they fly off the handle and try to cancel my business, which I also have screenshots of Deb and Sloan colluding together to try to cancel my business because they were pissed off that I said that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. They couldn't just disagree and say, we're allowed to disagree. They had to try to go to the state of New Hampshire and cancel my business. Of course, they were not successful at it, but they did try to do it and they colluded about it openly on Twitter. Fuck you guys. See? We're allowed to disagree. We're allowed to disagree. Yup, all over Israel. Because Sloan Rathmuch is married to an Israeli. And Deb is Jewish when it is convenient for her to be Jewish. Now, Deb's not Jewish all the time, but Deb is definitely Jewish when it's convenient for her to be Jewish. And if being Jewish helps Deb to cancel me, then Deb is very, 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 very Jewish. I know, Dan. I know. We're allowed to disagree. Let's see. What else do I have? Oh, here's where that crazy bitch that stalks me all the time. So I posted as soon as so when Deb got dragged by 6 million people on Twitter, she privated her Twitter account. And so I was like waiting for Deb to open up her Twitter account. There were even spies that were sent in to try to get access to Deb's privated Twitter account. And I think some of them did. Haha, too bad, so sad, Deb. But Deb opened up her Twitter account the other day, and of course, I ran right over to see what Deb had been tweeting when her account was privated, because of course I did. I mean, I'm gonna admit it, because I knew she was tweeting about me when her account was privated. So I was like, "What did this bitch say?" And so I wrote that Stepmom Deb's account is unlocked again, and apparently it's everyone else's fault. She tweeted something overtly racist, because the first thing that Deb said when she unprivated her account was, y'all, as we head into a new month in this already insane year, I would just like to point out that not everything I post has some subtext or backstory. That said, I'll do a better job of writing things such that even the laziest, angriest, most uncivil follower of this account will understand what I'm saying, assuming they're not devoid of reading comprehension skills, which is a tall order, so don't expect miracles. So Deb is complaining that her cancellation was everyone else's fault but hers, which is very Deb. We expect nothing less. Jenny's getting inky with it, says, between wasting time writing essays, poems, and making AI art about me and policing people, who can take these people seriously? See, that's my question. That's my question. Listen, I fuck around on the internet. I think a lot of us fuck around on the internet. We're allowed to fuck around on the internet, but I do enough serious stuff that it counterbalances any fucking around on the internet that I do for fun and amusement, right? Like, I spend the vast majority of my time doing serious stuff that people like fucking Deb are always trying to ruin with their bullshit. So Deb responded to this. Oh, this is another one of the crazy. This is a crazy knitter. This woman is unhinged. This woman is like a 50 some odd conservative knitter who's pissed off at me because I blocked her on Twitter because she was being an insane conservative in my feed. And this person said, people mostly know what Carlin is about now. She drives away anyone but a deluded few. Carlin is on a downward spiral, by the way. She will burn out soon. I really believe it. Now, this person, as well as Deb, as well... God damn, I'm losing my voice. I'm going to make it through this. We're getting through this stream. Even if I lose my voice, I don't care. So this person has literally been telling people for probably 2 years, Carlin's going to quit now any moment. Carlin's going to burn out. Carlin is in a downward spiral. It's all over for Carlin. Carlin is failing. Everyone hates Carlin. She's always in a downward... Like, this has been going on for 2 fucking years. 2 fucking years. And so now she's saying, Carlin's really almost burnt out this time. Really, really, we swear, pinky swear, bro. We promise. Now, the thing of it is, that's actually pretty funny about this, is there have been times when I've gotten really burnt out. There have been times when I was like, F this, I quit, I'm out. But right now, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Right now, I'm feeling solid. My Substack is doing better than it's ever done. I've got people funding undercover journalism for me. I've got an awesome community. My community is the best. I've got a great thing going with the socialism stuff. I've got the wiki going. I'm about to roll the school stuff that I started doing last year and then took a break from because of reasons. And then I'm about to roll the school stuff into the wiki stuff, and that's going to be great. Like, we're doing some good stuff here, man. I'm going to write another book. Like, things are on track. I'm happy. I had a great Socialism Saturday stream this week where I didn't yell at anyone. That was really good. I feel like the audience is getting keyed in. And I feel like my work is getting out there, honestly. Like, I feel like it's being effective. And so these morons can say I'm in a downward spiral and I'm gonna quit at any moment, but it's just not true. Is that why you still have 106,000 subs? That's a lot more than a few. Well, what they tell people is I bought all my subs, which isn't true. They tell me, they're like, look at how many views Carlin's videos get. She bought all those subs. That's not true. What happened is I was on a whole bunch of shows in 2020. A lot of people subscribed to my channel without really knowing who I was. And then YouTube shadow banned my channel on, I know the exact date, August 27th, 2020. Things have never been the same since then. And so it is what it is, man. Like, I can't do anything about it. But I feel pretty happy about the way things are going. I'll tell you when I'm ready, Patrick, okay? I've got a couple ideas. Yeah, I bought John at an auction. Remember, everyone is me. Yeah, Carlin is spiraling. Soon. Eventually, I promise. So Deb responded to that, and this is possibly Deb's most unhinged tweet about me yet. Check this out. Carlin's in a dark little room, ranting her head off for whomever seeks her out. She doesn't come out to where we are, except to see what we are doing, and then go back to rant some more. She has zero effect on our lives. To know what she's doing, we'd have to find out. But it would be like pressing our ears to the door of her dark corner of the internet. And why bother? Carlin's irrelevant. There's no solution she's working towards, no principle she defends or cares about. She offers no one she offers actionable advice to. She's effectively a sportscaster for socialism. Yes, I do, John. It's under my name. I am effectively a sportscaster for socialism. You know, the thing about sportscasters is that not everyone has time to sit around and watch the game, much less every game that they might be interested in. And so sportscasters actually play a really convenient role for a lot of people because they can go and watch Sports Center on ESPN or something. I'm assuming that's still on. I don't know that it's not. And they can get a rundown of every important thing that happened that they need to know about in a convenient little time period. I mean, I think that sportscasters actually play an important role for people who are interested in sports. And I don't know of anyone else that's doing commentary on socialism the way I'm doing it. So, is Deb really insulting me when she says that I'm a sportscaster for socialism? Because I watch all the socialism and I do commentary on the socialism and I break down the socialism and I explain it to people? Like, I actually kind of think it's cool to be a sportscaster for socialism. There could be worse things I could be doing. Lone Falcon says that's messed up. Nanopie says you have maximum effect on their lives because they constantly talk about me. Constantly. I saw you messing it up with them, Judy. What does that mean? I don't know. Is he like a sportscaster or something? I don't know who that is. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Some people don't understand the game being played, Deb. Sometimes people need to have the game explained to them. Deb can't figure out that that this is actually a compliment. Thanks, Deb. Marx caster. You know, I briefly toyed with the idea of calling myself Carlin Marx. That would have been, man, if I had been picking out like an anonymous name, or like I should have called myself Carlin Marx. Maybe I still will. Maybe that's going to be my pen name from now on. Carlin Marx. That's funny. Come on. Illustration Station says, your book and YouTube channel has helped me out so much. I'm in higher ed and you have helped me understand what the fuck is going on. Thank you. Thank you, Illustration Station. I appreciate it. Oh, he's a sportscaster. Okay, well, I'll take that as a compliment then. Deb does need the game explained to her. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Carlin Mar. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, so Deb tweeted that mound of insanity. And then let's see. And then Lime Lady said, "Look, Deb, Carlin is on a rage fest about you." Well, that was interesting because literally all I was doing was saying that Deb is making AI art of me, which she actually is, and I told her to get a grip and get laid, which she really needs to. And then I said, Bot asked me, Bot was like, why doesn't Deb just stop talking about you? And I was like, that's a very good question, Bot. Deb could ignore me, but she won't because I live rent-free in her head. It's also true that I could ignore her, but I get off way too much on triggering her to ever stop, which is true. I'm never stopping, Deb. I will continue to trigger you for the rest of your natural life until you shut the fuck up. And then Deb was so professional that Deb made more AI art, and this time she made me look like a potato because they call me a potato. Because Deb is so mature at 60 years old that this is what she spends her time doing. And she said, maybe she'll like this one better. I think it's a better likeness anyway. What is it she always says? Seethe and cope? Yeah, that. I'm not seething and coping, Deb, but I think it's making you you're creating an illustration for who you are to people using AI art, which you say I'm not allowed to use AI art, but you're allowed to use AI art. Okay. And then Deb is just posting gifs. And she also said, girl can't read. I never said she's going to burn out. No, Deb, I was responding to someone else. She can't. This is what Deb thinks about me. Carlin's not going to burn out. She can't. She's got nothing else. She'll be posting laugh emojis on my obituary. I don't care. Irrelevant means irrelevant to me and what I do. Yes, Deb. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so irrelevant, Deb. I'm so irrelevant to you and what you do that you literally spend your time making AI art of me. I've never made AI art of you, Deb. I've made a lot of AI art. It has never even occurred to me to make AI art of you. Do you want to know why, Deb? Because I don't care. First of all, it wouldn't sell anyway. No one's going to want to buy AI art of you. And when I'm fucking around with AI, I'm actually doing it for a purpose. I'm trying to make stuff that both I like, that also commentates on what's going on in culture, and is going to sell in a merchandise store. That is the point. So it's never even occurred to me, Deb, to make AI art of you because I don't care that much. But you seem to be spending time making AI art of me. Whatever. And then Deb, continuing to be triggered, actually went to my Art of the Trigger Substack, which I really need to get up and running it because I have so many article ideas for that. I have so much stuff I want to write on that. And it's just like, it's a time issue, as everything is. I have lots of great ideas. I don't have all the time in the world, but I love my Art of the Trigger Substack and I want to get back to it at some point. So it is actually great that Deb took time out of her day. I don't know why that's not loading, whatever. She took time out of her day to go to my Art of the Trigger Substack and said, because they're saying I'm going to be so triggered over this image. Well, not really, but she said, well, if true, it's either because I'm a superhero and need to be triggered, or she triggered herself and needs to own her emotions no matter what, by her own words. The only thing left to say is, you're welcome. So Deb is now acting as though she's triggered me, when in fact, I just think that this is so revealing of who Deb is that I can't help but share. But that's not all. That's not all. I want to introduce you guys to someone named Jill. This is another one of Deb's friends. Now, Jill is an insane person who goes by the name Poetry Painter on Twitter. And I know that Poetry Painter is Jill because years ago, Jill reached out to me to try to get me to come on the conservative Reddit thing to do an AMA. And she acted like she was doing me this big favor and that my life was going to be changed by doing an AMA on Reddit. And I said, fine, and I did it. And then Jill proceeded to try to control every single thing that I said on the internet for years after. Did Deb delete her Twitter? Seriously? Seriously? Did Deb delete her Twitter to try to get me to stop doing this stream? Hang on. Too bad, so sad, Deb. 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 Really nice try, Deb. Really nice try to get me to try to stop doing this stream. But the problem, Deb, is that I had already preloaded all of the tweets. You accomplished nothing by deleting your Twitter account, Deb. Remember, guys. Remember. Yeah. I think this is called being triggered, Deb. I think this is what being triggered looks like, Deb. Remember, guys, I am so irrelevant in Deb's life that this little stream I just did with the most deluded people on the internet made Deb Filman delete her entire fucking Twitter account. I thought I was irrelevant, Deb. I thought I was irrelevant. Why'd you delete your entire Twitter account just because I happened to be streaming about it? I thought I was irrelevant to you in your life, Deb. In fact, you said pretty clearly. Where did she say it? No, not there. Where did she say it? I already have everything loaded. She can't take it back. Was it here? I don't know. Deb said somewhere I was irrelevant. Where did she say it? Here? No. We're going to find it. Here it is. No. Damn it. I don't remember where she said it. And I don't want to mess anything up because I already have all this stuff loaded. But we all know she said it. Oh, poor Deb. Poor Deb. We aren't even done yet. Let's go back to Jill. We can always come back and celebrate Deb's deleted Twitter account later. Yup. I guess she's watching the stream. Everyone wave to Deb. Hi, Deb. Hang on. Hi, Deb. Hi. Glad to see you delete your Twitter account, Deb. Dan predicted you were going to do this, Deb. He predicted it. Does that mean... Actually, hang on. Oh, this is what Deb was trying to get rid of. This is what Deb was trying to get rid of, was the screenshots. Fuck, I didn't load those separately. That's okay. Maybe we won't be able to see the full screenshots. Damn. This is what Deb was trying to get rid of. Shit, hang on. Let me take a picture of this. I didn't expect Deb to actually delete her fucking Twitter account in the middle of the fucking stream. Okay. Ah, fuck. Hang on. Ah, fuck. Damn. Deb won that round. I thought we could get back to it, but I don't think we can. But Deb basically did a whole fucking rant. Okay, so what just happened is Deb released screenshots of a conversation with Dan. Yeah, I got the... Did I get a screenshot of all of it, though? Hang on, let me see. Ah, fuck, I didn't. God damn it. No, I didn't get the whole thing. But I got the screenshots that Deb was trying to hide. So basically what happened is Deb was responding to that poetry painter bitch, and we'll talk more about her in a second. And she released this whole rant. I should have fucking screenshotted this. Deb outplayed me on this one. She did. Because I should have screenshotted that whole thing. And she basically released screenshots of DMs she had with Dan, where it says exactly the same thing that I already told you guys. I warned him about her unprincipled behavior, her anti-Semitic rants, which he is now saying wow to because I tagged her. So Deb basically tried to convince Dan that I was an anti-Semite. And then she went on this whole fucking rant about how not only does Carlin hate the Jews, she also hates the Christians. And I was like, Deb, that's true. In general, I do actually dislike the Christians way more than I dislike the Jews. No offense to Christians. I'm not talking about all of you, but you know some Christians are a pain in the ass, and those are the ones that I mean. But I don't hate the Jews. I have no issue with Dan. I hate Jews who do stupid shit. But that's not a reflection of them being Jewish. That's a reflection of them doing stupid shit, and they happen to be Jewish while they're doing stupid shit. I'm sorry. I don't have an obligation, Deb, to like every single thing that every Jewish person on the planet does. And I don't have an obligation to not say that I believe that what is going on in Gaza is a genocide if I believe that it is a genocide, Deb. I'm allowed to have a fucking opinion on this. That's not anti-Semitic. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's what that was. Deb won that round, but it does appear as though she deleted her Twitter profile, so maybe she won the battle, but she didn't win the war. We'll see if Deb ever comes back. We'll see if they ever come back, but I want to show you this poetry painter bitch too. Now, we can't look at Deb's response anymore, but we still can look at her, and her name is Jill Fugman. Now, Jill is generally a psychopath about me on the internet, and Jill says all the time, and she's one of Deb's best friends, and Jill says all the time that I doxed her because I took the story that she says is when I asked Carlin to come on the conservative Reddit for an AMA, she scraped all of my private pictures off of Facebook, and then she doxed me 3 years later. Well, in this one, I'm signed in under my Facebook sock account, which I do have, obviously. And I just want to show people that Jill Fugman's pictures are completely public. I'm not friends with Jill on this account. Jill Fugman's photos are completely public. So all of the photos that she complains about me posting of her on Twitter, like this one, which shows what she really looks like, all of these things are completely public on Facebook. And so if Jill has a problem with me posting her completely public photos on Twitter that she has public on Facebook for anyone to see, then perhaps she should do a better job of curating her own information. And the reason I bring this up is because Jill Fugman is insane. And she posted this about me earlier, and this was one of the things that Deb was responding to, which is why I had it pulled up. And so I said earlier, guys, the haters swear I'm going to burn out anytime now, for real this time, not like every other time they've said it. And Deb, if I'm so irrelevant to your life, why do you DM people threatening to destroy them if they don't denounce me and stop working with me? And Jill Fugman, again, who looks like this, and we know this is her because if we go to her actual Twitter, she has posted a photo of her in her header image, which confirms that it's the same person because it's this photo right here from the Facebook page. And Jill gets really, really pissed off when I post this photo on Twitter. I can't imagine why she would be so pissed off at me for posting this photo of her on Twitter. I can't imagine why when it's a public photo on Facebook, and Jill has actively doxed several of my friends with information that they didn't want to have public, that they didn't make public. So all I've done, Jill, is post publicly available photos that are on your own account. So you can cry all the tears you want, bitch, but you're a psycho. And as long as you have public photos posted, that's your own damn fucking fault. Jill wrote, "Dear Carlin, for varied definitions of dear, it ain't Deb. It's me. It's me telling everyone with screenshot receipts what a horrible, terrible, verging on Nazi, untrustworthy, hideously evil liar and psychopath you are. It's not Deb. It's me. It will be every time. Go ahead and dox me again." Again, Jill, I'm not doxing you because you have all this information public, Jill. And as you guys have said, when you repeatedly dox me and my friends, public information is public, Jill. So if it's public information, it's not doxing, Jill, and this sure looks public to me. I'm not friends with you on Facebook under this account, Jill. It's too bad you don't know how technology works, Jill. Go ahead and dox me again. I give zero shits. James Lindsay, Chris Rufo, that psycho from that feminist magazine, Carrie Smith, the queen from England, and Mike Harlow, the biggest piece of human garbage on the planet. See, you thought I was disposable because I was only a Reddit mod. You didn't know that I had actual friends in the actual world that would let people know what a demonic entity you are. Yes, demonic. You are the cursed fig tree, Carlin. No fruit. Absolute shit. It's amazing how much a nobody like me has actually had success in telling people that you are rotten. It gives me great joy. Jesus loves you, I guess. I think a turd has more value because at least it fertilizes something that can grow. Smooches. Well, it kind of seems like Jill might be admitting to defaming me publicly. Kind of seems a little unhinged. She's still upset about the fig tree when she called into my stream years ago. Oh yeah, Jill has been stalking me for a long ass time. Yep, she has. Dan says, I searched my photos for the deleted handle, produced 57 hits. She used to support me until Carlin made a political opinion and I didn't toss Carlin marks aside. Exactly. So Deb responded to this earlier, and we were going to look at Deb's response to it, but sadly, now Deb has deleted her entire Twitter account because she's pissed off that I was doing this stream. But it looks like Dan's working on finding those DMs, Deb. So really, you didn't gain anything from deleting your entire Twitter account, Deb. Anyway, oh yeah, I feel Christ's love coming from this woman. I have always felt Christ's love coming from this woman. She is the epitome of goodness and empathy and all of the other things. All of the time she has posted like pictures of me just to like make fun of my weight or something like that, which they've manipulated to make me look ridiculous. Yeah, Christ's love. All the time she doxed my friends. All the times she wrongfully got my account reported and was part of deplatforming me on several different platforms. She's so conservative and cares so much about free speech and is so Christ-like. She thinks that being a Reddit mod is like the greatest thing that's ever happened in her life. It's the most important job she's ever had. And the only reason I even brought her up was because Deb responded to her. But whatever. Anyway, that's all I have for right now from that because Deb has deleted her Twitter account. So why don't we see what Deb has learned? Why don't we do a little reaction video? And we're going to listen to what Deb had to say about this Glisten speech. And I want to do some commentary and I want to hear what you guys had to say. Because the purpose of this is to understand, like, what is Deb actually telling her audience? I haven't watched Deb's content in a really long time. I truly have no idea. What is Deb actually telling her audience? And then after we do this, this is our vegetable. And then we're going to go to our dessert, which is we're going to watch this HG Tudor video about the transgender narcissists. And that's how we're going to wrap up. So let me set the sound up. I cannot believe Deb deleted her Twitter. I fucking can't believe Deb deleted her Twitter account. But remember, guys, I'm totally irrelevant to Deb Filman. I'm so irrelevant that the stream I'm doing tonight caused Deb to delete her entire Twitter account. Oh, God, you're all welcome. You're all welcome. All right, let's see what Deb knows. Let's see if Deb knows anything.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Reason We Learn. I'm your host, Deb Filman. At The Reason We Learn, we aspire to be part of the solution. The purpose of this show is to take a good, honest, potentially painful look at the way kids are being educated. We know we can do better, and this is where we'll talk about how. Let's learn something.
So today we're going to do a reaction video. This is my reaction to the Glisten NEA speech. NEA as in...
Okay, my first reaction, Deb, you need to turn up the energy, girl. Like, you look tired. You look haggard. No one likes watching tired and haggard people. And I say that I've done some streams where I've been tired and haggard. I absolutely have. I've done streams where I've yelled. I've done streams where I've been depressed. I've done streams where I've cried. But really, if I'm going to do a stream, and especially if it's just like a reaction video stream, you got to just turn it up, Deb. You got to turn it up a little bit. Make it a little bit of a show. Yeah, Deb, you look like an HR lady, okay? Let's just be brass tacks. The Adderall has worn off. You obviously need to get laid. We can also... Oh, that was the other thing Deb said. Deb, in that response tweet that, like, we didn't get to see because she deleted her Twitter account, Deb accused me of sexually harassing her because I said she needed to get laid. Deb had this whole paragraph about, like, Carlin is sexually harassing me. It's sexual harassment to say that I need to be tied up to a bed and dominated. Fine, Deb. Fine. It doesn't change anything. You still need to be tied up to a bed and dominated, Deb. You need dick in your life. I promise you. It will change everything. All consensual. But it's a great stress reliever. It'll make you feel good. Anyway, I'm not going to talk too much about that anymore, but my point remains.
National Education Association, the nation's largest teacher union.
Bad energy, Deb. Bad energy.
Thankfully, it only has 85 views, this particular speech on Glisten, but I have a sneaking suspicion more people at the NEA saw it, which means potentially millions of teachers out there who are going
Deb,
to
what
work
the
in your
fuck is
public
wrong with
schools.
you? Seriously.
Glisten, if you're not familiar, is an organization that supports all of the trans stuff that you're seeing. They don't just support it, they promote it. They lobby for it. They work hand in glove with the unions. They work with politicians. They are working overtime to get and keep this stuff not only in the schools, but in the medical community and the practice of psychology and psychiatry and
Deb,
pediatric.
What the fuck is this?
And so-called gender care. I'm going to play this. It is a 2-minute and 26-second speech. And I'm just going to interrupt myself periodically, and I'm going to say what I have to say until we get to the end. Here we go.
Now, in response to over 600 bills that have been proposed to turn hateful ideology into law.
It is apparently hateful ideology to ban the sterilization and mutilation of minor children. That is how we turn hateful ideology into law, is we protect children from medical abuse and malpractice and grooming.
Is Deb about to fall
Hateful
asleep?
ideology. Notice how they do that. It's a little trick. If you hear this, they're turning hateful ideology into law. You go, oh my God, that's terrible. They never tell you what the hateful ideology is, though, do they?
What is the hateful ideology? Pop quiz for the chat. What is the hateful ideology that they're talking about in this Glisten speech with the NEA? What do you guys think the hateful ideology is that they're referring to? Deb doesn't know the answer to this question. What do you guys think the answer to the question is? What is the hateful ideology? Capitalism. That's what they're referring to, Deb. It's capitalism. Why aren't you explaining to people that it's capitalism, Deb? You look like you're about to fall asleep. Did you take like medication? Like, is that, yeah, capitalism, capitalism, capitalism. Yep.
This is projection.
No.
There is no
No.
ideology behind saying a minor child cannot consent to puberty blockers, cannot consent to surgery.
There is no ideology behind this. I'm sorry. For those of you who were on my Socialism Saturday stream earlier tonight, what is the ideology behind the left wanting to trans children? What is the driving ideology behind the left wanting to trans children and hint, hint, take away parental rights? There's no ideology driving this, Deb? Really? Really? You're an expert now? What do you guys think the ideology is driving this? Queer Marxism, Deb. The ideology is queer Marxism. That is the ideology. It's communism. It's Marxism. They're trying to abolish the gender binary, to abolish the nuclear family, to abolish capitalism. The ideology is socialism. Usher in communism by defeating capitalism. That is the ideology, Deb. Abolish the family, Deb. Any number of these answers would have been correct, Deb. The only incorrect answer is there is no ideology driving this behavior. That is just fundamentally wrong in every possible way, Deb. Maybe you should have taken a nap before you filmed a video, Deb.
Mutilating themselves, and it would be grossly irresponsible to allow their children, their parents rather, to do it for them. I'm all for parents' rights, but I draw the line at that.
I'm all for parents' rights, but not for parents I disagree with.
For religious reasons. Why not? What's the difference? If the parent says this is what the child wants and the child goes, why not? What if the child says that's what I want? And because of my religion, because it'll please my parents, are you going to do that? Or are you going to say that's child abuse? So this is how they play with words.
Glisten is rising up for LGBTQ plus youth.
Glisten is rising up for LGBTQ youth. Again, with the T and the Q and the plus tacked on to L and G and B. There really wasn't a problem.
Deb doesn't know the difference between queer and trans. As of 5 months ago, Deb had still not been able to identify the difference between queer and trans. Deb's position seems to be the LGB needs to divorce from the TQ, which we all know is stupid because queer is not the same as trans, Deb. This is why they can't win. They don't even know what they're fighting. This has been my point for years now. The right doesn't know what they're fighting. They have no idea what they're fighting. Deb Filman is one of Moms for Liberty's favorite experts. This is why Moms for Liberty as an organization sucks. I'm not talking about the normal people in Moms for Liberty chapters. If you're just a mom and a dad and you're in a local Moms for Liberty chapter, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the national organization. The the National Organization of Moms for Liberty believes that Deb fucking Filman is the very best representative that they have in order to teach people what's going on. Oh, second, of course, to James Lindsay, obviously. This is why the right is doomed to lose, because this is who they have teaching people what's going on. Exactly, Maria. Exactly. Exactly my point.
Not to the point where we needed more legislation for LGBT youth in school. They weren't trying to get into a different locker room or bathroom. They weren't getting prevented from being on sports. The most you could say, and it was pretty much being dealt with on a case-by-case basis, was that if a member of the L and the G and the B wanted to take somebody to the prom who was of the same sex, some schools said no. And in a public school, I grant you that that's probably something that they, shouldn't do. Now, if it's a religious school or a private school, they can do whatever they want. But did they really need Glisten and millions of dollars and all this kind of stuff to make sure people go to the prom with their preferred date? No, that's not what they're for. So prior to this trans ideology, there wasn't a concept of LGBTQ youth. There barely was a concept of LGBT youth. I mean, we knew there were, but there were L and G and B youth. It just wasn't.
Are you fucking stupid, Deb? If there was no concept of LGBT youth or LGB youth prior to the trans stuff, then why did gay straight alliances start existing in schools in the late 90s? Are you serious? Gay straight alliances just popped up in schools in the late 90s because there was no concept of LGB youth? That's just provably wrong, Deb. You can go back and watch the show Queer as Folk from the 90s that had LGBT characters that were in high school. The trans stuff didn't take over until after gay marriage was legalized, Deb. That's when they co-opted the movement, Deb. That's when the gay straight alliances became the gender sexuality alliances. Wow.
This organized group that adults were rising up in such numbers to speak it on behalf of. It's just something I thought I'd point out. I mean, there've always been gay kids at school. There've always been bisexual kids and lesbians. That's always been the case since I was in high school. Okay. Some of them were out, some of them weren't, but there just wasn't like this.
As our most vulnerable face unimaginable battles.
Yes, they do. Our most vulnerable face an unimaginable battle against the groomers in their schools. They're ideological groomers, not just the gender groomers, but also the academic and political groomers. They are coming at them at every turn. First of all of our children are vulnerable because they're children. Okay. There is no most vulnerable. And if there were, it would be children who are already mentally ill in some way, who are either getting missed and not getting treatment that they actually need because the focus is on, oh, the reason you feel bad is you're in the wrong body. Oh, the reason you feel bad is the white supremacy, the patriarchy,
Sam says petition to beginning to call Deb Step MILF to celebrate her successful grift into Moms for Liberty. Oh my God. You know what? The Mills for Liberty and Step MILF Deb Filman they're a match made in heaven. They're made for each other. It's just like such a perfect combination.
Whatever. Not, let's figure out why you feel so bad. You're going to be the one to pull that out over time with a good qualified therapist.
I'm shocked at how boring
from
this is.
Building.
I'm legitimately shocked.
The strangers here, ideally in the bosom of your loving family. And if you don't have a loving family, then certainly still not within the school. Just saying. So yeah, the concept of most vulnerable is one I would challenge, and all children are vulnerable. to adult indoctrination and adult grooming. And those children who are most vulnerable amongst those are not in need of what she's selling at all.
We simply can't afford to give in.
You can't? We simply can't afford to give in, or what?
Seriously,
Give
Deb?
in to what?
Seriously?
We can't afford to give in to their parents. We can't afford to give in to common sense, reason, and human decency. Where we say, no, we don't let kids.
Deb is so just looking for things to be pissed off about. It's like, this is why it takes Deb 37 minutes to react to a 2.5-minute video, because she's just looking to be pissed off at everything. See you tomorrow, Sassy. We're watching Dangerous Beauty tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. I don't know if we're going to make it through the whole video. I think we might be able to make it through a couple more minutes. I just like, man, Jenny's getting inky with it. If it was random nonsensical stuff, its followers wouldn't be able to move with the precision of a school of fish. If it makes sense to them, it can make sense to her, but she would rather pontificate. This is what I'm saying, guys. This is why I have been screaming that people need to learn how to speak the language of the left for like at least a year now. Because it's like, if you don't understand what they're doing, which Deb clearly and unequivocally does not understand, then you can never beat them. And none of them fucking understand what they're doing. Not a single one of them. And what's worse about it is they don't want to understand. They have no desire to understand at all. Deb has no desire to understand what the left is actually doing. She just wants to pontificate, and she wants people on the internet to pay her money for half-cocked ideas that are not even hinged into reality. Chris, she was a long time ago. I explained it in the previous episode of Nitwits, if that's a story that you're interested in. Yeah, if anything, this video just makes it clear how far ahead we are. So it's good.
It's, decide they're going to just drop out of school at the age of 10 and, drink liquor out of the liquor cabinet, or, maybe tattoo their face. We don't allow them to do those things because we understand they're 10. They're just kids. They can't make these permanent decisions. But we'll hand them some puberty blockers if, they're afraid of ever getting cramps, or I don't know, I feel like I'm in the wrong body. Well, yeah, we can't afford, she says, to give in to the people who want to stop her and other people from doing that type of stuff. Why? Because you need the money? Because doctors won't make as much money mutilating children, because big pharma won't make as much money making kids permanent patients? Is that what you can't afford to give in?
That's not what they care about, Deb.
The people who are preventing
That's
that?
not what they care
Because
about.
education is the cornerstone of democracy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. This is one of those that drives me crazy too. Democracy is not what we are. We are not a democracy. Yes, we are we're a constitutional republic.
Deb, when socialists say democracy, what they mean is socialism. Because socialists believe that the only true democracy is socialism. That's why they call everything democracy, Deb. That's why they talk about danger to our democracy. They believe the only true democracy in the world is socialism, and that is the ideology that they are pushing. Now, you're about to go in some sort of rant about, we are a republic and not a democracy. And that's a reflection of the fact that you do not understand what you are listening to, Deb. All she is doing is turning people into radicals. And why does she sound like a Valley girl? I don't know. I don't know why Deb sounds like a Valley girl. I don't know. I don't know, Jenny. That's a great question. I don't know the answer.
public that uses democratic means to elect our officials. Yes, I get it. So they say we're one of the democracies in the world. But you know what? Guess what? Iraq was technically a
No,
democracy under Saddam.
that's not
He
what
got
they're
voted for.
saying, Deb.
He was elected by a majority.
I'm getting
So
my
was
second
Hamas.
beer.
I mean, you know, that's a democracy. We're a democratic country in the sense that we do have voting.
That means socialism,
but no, we're
Deb.
not a democracy. And education isn't the cornerstone of it. You know what would be the cornerstone of our society and of our country? Individual liberty is the cornerstone of a constitutional republic. Individual liberty and the defense of it. And if you have a minor child, then that is the responsibility of the adults who are responsible for them. I mean, legally responsible for them, on the hook for everything that happens to them. That would be their parents or the legal guardians, neither of which the school is. They're temporary. They're like, you know, in low.
You know, we really should spend just a little bit more time watching other influencers and commentators, because I think what this is making very, very, very clear is that, like, Deb doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. We do know what we're talking about. And I think it would be interesting to compare, because I haven't watched other people's content in like years. I truly have no idea what anyone else is saying. The only things I know are things that I hear from you guys, because I don't want to absorb what they're saying. But every once in a while, maybe we should watch the other anti-woke commentators, because this is making it abundantly clear how far ahead we are of Deb Filman.
Loco parentis very temporarily, and they don't take all the parental rights away from the parent even while they're doing that. That's the law now, before we ever go fight for, please give me parental rights. You have them already. You just need to defend them. So no, education is not the cornerstone of our democracy. Education is, I would argue, essential to understanding what your liberties are so that you personally can defend them against people like her from her gaslighting and manipulation. But it is not the cornerstone of democracy. And wait till you hear what she says next.
We will soon. We will soon. Give it a couple more minutes.
Because of this, schools must be sites of liberation.
Wait. Because of this,
what does that mean, Deb?
Must be sites of liberation.
What does that mean, Deb?
These
what does
speeches
that mean?
are written so carefully.
What does that mean?
Literally every phrase.
What does liberation mean, Deb?
So carefully.
What does liberation mean?
Nice words, but
what does liberation mean, Deb?
Until you dig deeper.
What does it mean?
So, education is the cornerstone of democracy.
What does that mean?
Therefore, schools must be sources of liberation.
Make a point.
Liberation.
What does that mean?
Are we not a democracy?
What does that mean?
Need to protect at all costs. And if we are, why do we need to liberate anybody?
What does that mean?
Desperate need of liberation.
Deb doesn't know what liberation means. Deb doesn't know what this person means by holy Deb. Deb. She said liberation doesn't mean anything. Deb, liberation means to be free of capitalism. It means socialism, Deb. It means to be liberated from capitalism, Deb. It means socialist organizing, liberation from capitalism. It means liberation from capitalism, Deb. Liberation from capitalism. I didn't even have to ask my chat to chat this in. They're fact-checking you, Deb, without me even needing to say anything. That's how much you suck at this, Deb. Liberation means the revolution, Deb. Wow.
If you're free to vote, you go vote, or we're in a democracy, then why would parents who are imprisoning and abusing their children send them off to school where they could be influenced by other adults into a different way of thinking? Oh, that's so oppressive of them. First of all, the children are compelled to be there. Parents don't have a choice unless they have the means or the, will or the ability, whatever, to homeschool. So they're compelled to be there. And once they're there, they get taught whatever y'all feel like teaching them. The parents dutifully bring them try as hard as they can to get involved and participate in that process. What exactly are you liberating them from?
Oh my God, Deb. What exactly are you, Deb? Deb, I know people have told you about my content, Deb. I know that you have had many people in your audience explain to you painstakingly that the number one enemy of the woke left is capitalism. I know that because I've seen it happen on Twitter. And then you read them the riot act for daring to mention my name. But the reason they're trying to explain it to you, Deb, is that when they say liberation, they mean liberate from capitalism. That is literally what that means. And the fact that you don't know that should be disqualifying for you having any sort of position of influence over people at all. This is basic, Deb. This is 101 level shit, Deb. Chris, this is I'm so glad you found me, because if you didn't find me, this would be the caliber of conservative influencer that would be teaching you. And you're better off here, Chris. We're going to take good care of you. We're going to teach you all this stuff. It's going to be great. Don't ever listen to these people again. Yes, we have descended into the land of retardia. This is the land of retardia that I have been swimming in for years, that I've been trying painstakingly to pull myself out of. Deb thinks I'm jealous of her. Deb thinks that I'm jealous that she exists in the land of retardia. No, Deb, I am not jealous. I'm not jealous at all.
Well, the answer is very simple. They're liberating them from the culture of the parents.
No!
The thing that the reason the parents had the kids in the first place.
No!
To reproduce their culture. To reproduce the values
Wrong.
they already had and held dear.
Wrong, Deb.
That's what she
Wrong.
wants to liberate your kids from.
No.
Schools must be sites of liberation.
Wrong.
Because we don't need to be, we have liberty. We just need to defend it. We just need to own it and say, no, I'm already a free person. I'm free. You're the one trying to make me not free.
No.
You're
Deb,
the one
that's not
trying to
what
make me
they're
a
saying.
prisoner in my own body.
Mhm.
You're the
Bad
one
Deb.
telling me that
Bad
I'm a prisoner
Deb.
to my body's natural
Bad.
processes. You're the one
Bad
telling me
Deb.
that I have the wrong thoughts when I'm confused and I don't understand what's going on. You're the one telling me what that means instead of letting me be free to think my own thoughts.
Wrong.
The person trying to imprison me
Wrong.
in my own
Wrong.
confusion and discomfort at transitioning from being a child to an adult is this lady and the other people who espouse the same views. So liberation from what? From the background, the facts, the reality
Oh, that
that
mocha beer
creates
is
that
good.
dissonance, that creates that
mocha beer is
confusion
good.
against what she's teaching. We have to liberate you from reality. Come over to our side. It has nothing to do with liberating you in the real.
I'm going to be honest. This whole thing, listen, I have gained a lot of confidence in what I'm doing in the past several months. I feel like I'm more confident in what I'm doing in terms of like my technique and how I'm teaching people than ever before. I'm starting to get less angry. I had a forced vacation for 2 weeks. I got less because I black pilled for a little while and I was like, everything sucks and everyone sucks and I'm just going to be pissed off all the time. But I feel like I've come back around. I feel like I'm much less angry than I was last year. And I feel now more confident in my work than ever before, because it is just like I'm starting to see all of these conservative influencers just literally making shit up. And it's dawning on me on like how much it really is. I feel very confident that we are farther ahead than like everyone else. And I feel like this is all the indication I need that it's time to double down. It's time to take this seriously, because we have people that need a community like this. We have people that want to understand what's going on, that want a resource like this. This is my fucking year, man. This is my fucking year. I'm not screwing around this year. I built the infrastructure I needed to build last year. Okay, I didn't get as far along with some things as I wanted to, but that's all right. That's life. Like, Listen, man, I'm sorry. Like, if my stuff doesn't catch on this year, I don't know what's wrong with the world. I really don't. Like, it's better. I'm just gonna say it's fucking better than everyone else. I have my sunglasses on. I've got an attitude right now. It's better than what everyone else is doing. And like, the more I watch stuff like this, the more confident I get in like what it is that I'm putting out there. Yeah. This stream is perfect. She is saying all the things that conservatives just make up out of thin air. No backing down this year. No more kowtowing to other people who aren't as good at this as I am. No more. I did it for 3 years. That's enough. That's enough.
Sense.
And that means that educators like you, like us, are guardians of democracy.
Hogwash. Educators like you, like us, she's speaking to the NEA, are guardians of democracy. Wow. Democracy, maybe. No, you're not guardians of democracy. You're supposed to be teachers. You're supposed to be teaching the kids the knowledge and the skills they need to go out and themselves guard their liberty. Not democracy is not a thing worth defending unto itself. It's just not.
Seething.
In fact,
she's
pure democracy is awful. It's tyranny of the majority. So we don't defend democracy. We don't. We defend individual liberty. And when you do that, if you did that really, really well, then any democratic process that you put in place for choosing your representatives or your government, whatever government you want to have, is probably going to work a lot better. And guess what? You're going to be free to exercise that right to vote better because you.
Deb, I'm going to give you some advice. Because there was a time that I was as angry as you on the internet. There was. If you go back to 2021, I was really pissed. There was some stuff in 2022. I was really pissed and I was clinically depressed on top of it. But Deb, you are going to give yourself a heart attack. Deb, you're like 20 years older than me. You're way older than me. You are going to give yourself a heart attack if you don't rein it in and find an outlet to relieve your stress. And as we have already discussed, getting laid is probably going to be one of your best outlets for relieving this level of pressure, Deb. It's going to be good for you. But if you give yourself a heart attack, I'm not going to feel sorry for you because this is an unreasonable level of anger over a 2-minute video. She obviously has zero clue that the left has their own dictionary. Arguing with them over word definitions is a totally useless idea. This is why I banned debunking on my channel, guys. This is why I tell you guys, don't spend any time debunking. Because if you guys spend all your time debunking, you're going to be pissed off and angry like Deb. I don't want that for you. We're in this for the long game. We all got to be in this together. I can't have people being like this. If you're like this, you're not going to be useful. Deb, it isn't about liberty, Deb. They believe liberty comes when capitalism is destroyed, Deb.
Taught everybody they're an individual and they have dignity and rights and freedoms in the United States, and that voting for people who respect that and will do their utmost to protect that is how you are a guardian of liberty. But if what you want to guard is the ability for the loudest majority of people, or the scariest majority, which can be a minority, as we saw in Hitler's Germany, in Bolshevik Soviet Union or Russia, and then Soviet Union.
Well, she almost got it with the Bolsheviks.
You don't have a majority. You just have a really loud, bullying, dangerous minority who then becomes the only voice that gets to speak safely.
Deb, are you like this close to talking about the socialist revolution, Deb? Because you're mentioning the Bolsheviks, so it kind of makes me think that you kind of know where this is going, but you're not being clear with your audience that this is a socialist, and everything they're saying indicates they want a socialist revolution, and they're using education to do it. So why aren't you explaining that to your audience, Deb? Why are you just complaining on the internet? Why aren't you taking advantage of this opportunity to teach something about what is actually going on, to give your audience the tools to understand it, Deb? You remember, Deb, you know this stuff way better than I do. You're so much smarter than me, Deb. You're so great. You know everything. I know nothing. Remember, Deb, you keep telling people I'm irrelevant and I'm useless and I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other thing. So why aren't you teaching the way that I teach? I think that's very telling, isn't it, Milo, that Deb has not said the word socialist or Marxist at all.
Which is what she is. I'll be lucky if this lasts a week on this channel. So, no, you're not if you're guardian of democracy in the literal sense, you're a tyrant. But if what you're trying to say is you're a guardian of anybody's rights, you're not. Not even a little bit.
As guardians, there are times when you need to follow the lead of young people.
So as guardians, we need to follow the lead of young people. No, you can't. It's really hard to protect young people by following their lead, especially if you're talking about the most vulnerable. The most vulnerable, why would you put the most vulnerable in a position of leadership to lead you, the adult? They're vulnerable. You just said so. Why would you let vulnerable people go out in front of you and tell you which way to go when they obviously so desperately need strong, competent leadership to help guide them, and not guide them in the sense of do this, do that, but to help protect them, potentially even from themselves? No, there are not times you need to follow the young people.
There are other times when supporting young people means standing shoulder to shoulder with.
Yeah, well, now we're just going to say water's wet when, supporting young people and standing shoulder to shoulder with them. Sure. Like when they're trying to learn their multiplication tables and you stand side by side with them and say, I'm here for you. You got this. They're trying to read for the first time, or worse, they're trying to read for the third, fourth, fifth time after somebody botched it all those times. And now they're, 15 or 16 and they're barely reading at the level of a 7-year-old. Yes, you need to stand shoulder to shoulder with them then. Pretty sure it's not what you're talking about, though. You mean in a protest rally.
That's right, Deb. Your anger is not helping you, Deb.
Times
not
like
helping.
Right now, when rising up means we step out in front of our youth, we act as a protective shield, and we say, if you want to get to them, you have to go through us.
Who's the you she's talking to? If you want to get to them, you have to go through us. Get to them?
Parents.
Nobody's trying to get to them. You're trying to get to them. Protection much? We go out ahead of them. We act as a protective shield. You mean we go out ahead of them and don't let their...
See, if Deb was smart, Deb would have taken this opportunity to explain how socialists are attacking parental rights all across this country using the schools to do it. If you are interested in that topic, I did that earlier tonight on Socialism Saturday. But Deb isn't taking advantage of this golden opportunity to explain how socialists are using the K-12 public schools in order to attack parental rights and why they're doing it. Why isn't Deb explaining it? Because she doesn't understand it. Yes, John, I think you absolutely should. I think that's a great idea.
Their parents get in our way. You're protecting them from the influence of their parents, their faith, the rest of society, common sense, reality, science. That's what you want to protect them from. If you want to get to them, you have to go through us. She's talking to you, mom and dad, mom and mom, dad and dad, whoever's out there listening, whoever's actually responsible for those children. She's talking to you. She's saying, if you want to stop us from sterilizing and mutilating your children, you got to go through us. Does that sound like somebody who has your child, like your child's best interests at heart?
Well,
because it doesn't sound like that.
See, this is why Deb needs to find a man to tie her to a bed and take her out of control consensually. Always consensually. Because the thing of it is, it's called critical dominatrix theory. I've talked about it for years on my channel. You can go back and find other videos I did about critical dominatrix theory. The idea is this. If you are super powerful in real life, if you are a CEO or a boss, or maybe just have a really fiery, like, controlling attitude like Deb Filman. We all need to balance that. Life is about balance. We have hot and we have cold. We have black and we have white. We have light and we have dark. If you are a controlling cunt in real life, then one of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourself is by finding a man to take you out of control and be submissive in the bedroom. And if you are submissive in the bedroom, Deb, and you let go of control, first off, you might actually have an orgasm for once in your life, because you can't have orgasms, Deb, when you are pent up and trying to control everything. That's what an orgasm is. It's called the little death. The French call it the little death, because in order to have an orgasm, you have to let the fuck go. So it's going to help you actually have a single orgasm in your life, Deb, which is going to be really great for you. But also, if you just let go of control and let someone else dominate you, it's going to be a great balance to the hard, bitchy, controlling cunt that we see in front of us in real life. It's going to change everything, Deb. Your content's going to be better. People are going to find you more attractive. It's going to be like, you're going to be more relaxed. Deb, you say I'm sexually harassing you, and you say that I'm calling for you to be assaulted, which I'm not, because everything I'm suggesting is consensual. The bottom is really in control in the BDSM relationship, which I know for, reasons. Anyway, this is like the best advice you've ever been given in your life, Deb. Honestly, I'm really trying to help you out. Every single person on the internet would be happier if you allowed a man to dominate you.
To me, it sounds really threatening, actually.
Together as guardians, we refuse to let students believe the vicious lies that fascist governors are spreading.
Let's dissect this one. Fascist governors.
That was actually funny.
You mean like the people who want to do public-private partnerships with groups like Glisten and spend taxpayer dollars getting toxic ideology into the classroom so that y'all can have jobs and get rich, even though you have absolutely no other qualifications? Those kind of fascist
Deb, do you know what fascism means? Fascism means capitalism. Does Deb know that fascism means capitalism? No, of course she doesn't.
Governments? You mean the kind of fascist governments that put speech codes in place where you can't say certain things?
Fascism means capitalism, Deb.
You mean like the fascist governments that shut down your business
means capitalism
because there's a virus going around?
Why don't you know that it means capitalism, Deb?
And can't touch and aren't even getting sick or dying from, but we're going to shut you down. You can't collect rent if you're a landlord. You can't go to work and put this thing on your face.
Name the ideology, Deb.
Oh, wait, you don't know those kind of fascist governments and governors.
The capitalist
we refuse to let them believe the lies that fascist governments are spreading. Well, let's see. Last time I checked.
Is Deb making you guys feel good about yourselves? I'm talking to the chat. Like, is Deb making you guys feel good about yourself and how much you've learned over the, like, we know a lot, man. We are so far ahead. I keep telling you guys. Stepmom, we know what we're watching. How does it feel to be fact-checked without me even... Deb, I'm not even asking my audience to fact-check you. They're just doing it, Deb. Bot feels like a genius. Yeah, Deb, this would be a great time to point out this person is a socialist. I'll tell you why, Carlin. She, unlike us astute socialist scholars, is a conservative grifter who cares not to learn their language. You guys feel smart? We're feeling good? Yeah. John is in college, and I've already given him a degree in socialism. It's true.
The governor's passing laws and the legislatures in North Carolina, because our governor didn't want it, passing laws protecting children from people like you, from the people who want to sterilize and mutilate them, make them permanent medical patients, and be confused for the rest of their lives and remain almost like little children, so that adults who like that sort of thing
Oh, Deb's calling them
can
groomers.
take advantage
She's
of
calling
them
them.
even
She thinks it's
further.
about sexualizing them. Holy
You
shit,
want to protect
Deb,
them
come
from the reality
on.
that you're the
Come
bad guys?
on.
Because that's all that those governors want to do and those
Deb.
legislatures want to do is protect
Oh my
them
God,
from
she's
your
so
messaging
dumb.
and
She's
protect
so
them from the
dumb.
vicious lie
Oh,
that a
no.
man can be a woman and a woman can be a man, because it can't. They can't. That's a vicious lie.
Wait, Deb is against all
We
trans people
refuse
now?
to let them believe that they are wrong.
Wow.
Listen to yourself. You refuse to let them believe that they are wrong.
Yep.
In all cases? In all cases. Kid has a penis.
I need a
Says,
cough
I'm a
drop.
girl. And you refuse to entertain the notion that maybe they're wrong. And you refuse to let them believe they're wrong. So what you're saying is you refuse to let them be well. You refuse to let them speak to somebody about the situation, and at least bring them to the place of saying, well, I'm actually not a girl, but I really wish I were one. And so I'm going to, get to be 18 and fully grown and go all the way through puberty. And then if I still feel like this, maybe I'll take matters into my own hands as an adult. But thank you for, at least bringing me to the point where I recognize reality. And I know that I am not and never will be able to literally be a girl or a woman, but I still have this issue and maybe I'll go deal with that separately. Even then? So if they say they're a cat or a dog or a tree, you refuse to let them believe they're wrong? If they say 2 + 2 is 5, you refuse to let them believe they're wrong in all cases? Because no one's telling them they're wrong of that they're gay. That stopped, years ago. Yes, there are individual families, but that's still a problem. But guess what? Public school is not the place for you to, make everyone think certain things that you want them to think. That is not your job. That is not your right. You have no authority to do that. If there are parents out there that are homophobes, that's really
Yes, we
damn
are.
unfortunate.
We're more than halfway through.
I certainly don't like that.
We're good.
But it is none of my damn business. It's just not, nor is it yours. And their children are their business. And that is going to be between them and their kids. It is not for you to interfere with that.
All right. Do we need to watch any more of this? Like, Deb doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's just ranting. I want to go on to HG Tudor because we've already ignored HG Tudor for like way too long. Like, I think I've proven my point. Deb's problem is, number one, she's trying to debunk. Number two, she doesn't understand the language of socialists. Number three, she refuses to set aside her ideology. Yep. Okay, it looks like maybe Bot wants to keep going. John doesn't want to. Lone Falcon doesn't want to. Reagan was having fun. I mean, I know some people are having fun, and I could probably... I don't want to bore everyone. We've already been going for 2 hours. Chad says Deb needs a nap. Bill says Deb needs some dick. True. Both true. Two ladies being very diplomatic because two ladies is a gentleman. She needs to study more. Yep. I think we're done. I think we need to do this with more conservative influencers to find out exactly how much they don't know. That could be a fun... I hope it made everyone feel really smart because I really, like, we are really ahead. I know, like, this is not like like, we really are ahead of people, guys. Like, it's actually really scary that we are ahead of people. Judy's hanging in. I know, Judy, you're a champion. We're gonna move on, I think. Let's move on to the king narcissist himself. Thank you, Deb. Thank you for deleting your account, Deb. Keep it deleted, Deb. The world will be a better place with you deleting your account, Deb. Come to Socialism Saturday, Deb. We'll teach you all the things that you need to know. I know you have people watching this stream right now, Deb. Everyone that's watching this stream that's hate watching, hi. Thanks, guys, for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. I hoped you learned something about socialism because you guys don't know what you're talking about. That was fun, Deb. Thanks for showing us what you don't know. Bye. All right, let's move on to HG Tudor. And again, with deepest apologies to HG Tudor, because I've kind of done him dirty in this video in that I put him at the end and I didn't give him his own live stream reaction, for which I'm a horrible person. But HG Tudor already doesn't like me because of fucking Carrie. Like, HG Tudor already doesn't like me, so it's like, whatever. I feel bad, but I don't feel like that bad, you know? Anyway, we have saved HG Tudor for last. And what we're going to listen to is HG Tudor, who, if you've never listened to HG Tudor, he is a narcissistic psychopath that talks about narcissism on the internet, and he talks about Meghan Markle way too much because it's what makes him his money on YouTube, and I understand that. But it's way too much because his other content is so much better. And occasionally, HG Tudor graces us with a video about the woke stuff. And the other day, he graced us with a video about the transgender narcissists. And I think that he's talking about the queer Marxists, but we're going to see. And we're going to see what the narcissistic evaluation is of the queer Marxists. So let's turn over the floor and let's see what HG Tudor knows about this. I once tried to get HG Tudor to cover Abolish the Family. I tried my very best. He ignored me. That's okay. Maybe he'll come around someday. Because I was like, I've read like 15 of his books. That's true. And they're good books. Honestly, HG Tudor's best work is his books. Like, the videos are good. His paid content is good. Like, he's got a lot of good stuff. I don't like his narc character, but that's another thing. I didn't say that on video. Obviously, everything HG Tudor does is perfect, except I'm not sure that the narc detector actually evaluates narcissism. But he's probably right, and I'm probably wrong. But his books are his best stuff. His books are fucking phenomenal. And so I'm curious to know what HG Tudor has to say about the transgender narcissists, and we'll see how much he knows about the woke stuff. Okay, let's get started.
The transgender narcissists.
Ooh, the voice.
Hello, I'm HG Tudor.
Hello, HG.
I have been repeatedly asked by clients, by readers and viewers, to talk about the link between transgenderism and narcissism. There are those individuals who have found that they have a difficulty living with the biological sex of being either a man or a woman. There are those that therefore have sought to lead a life as the opposite biological sex. And these individuals have done so quietly, in some instances experiencing unnecessary prejudice because of their choice. There have been those individuals that have undertaken cosmetic alterations. So, for instance, if they identify as being a woman, they have worn wigs, they've worn makeup, they have perhaps worn clothing which is associated more with women than men. Others have gone further, undertaking alterations through surgery to change the biological sex that was assigned to them to become a different gender.
Bye, Chad. Have a good one.
Those, of course, are choices that an individual, because it is their life, are perfectly entitled to make. However, as of late, we have seen a rise in certain individuals that use the issue of transgenderism as a weapon. I recall not so
And
long.
they're called queer Marxists. It's not trans people. They are queer Marxists, HG. Queer is a far left political. In fact, this person in the thumbnail, this isn't a trans person. This is a queer Marxist.
Long ago, seeing a court case which involved a man who, wearing a high-vis jacket and ostensibly looking to anybody looking upon him like a man, namely he had masculine features, a beard, and was dressed like a man,
Yeah.
who assaulted.
This is queer Marxists are a weapon against capitalism. Now, that's not to say there's not an overlap with narcissism, by the way, because I do think there is evidence to show that the people who are attracted to this sort of thing have a higher propensity to be disposed to like narcissistic traits and like the dark triad and all that stuff. But it's still a weapon against capitalism. Well, I mean, it's not really surprising though. Like this isn't HG Tudor's thing. Like most people don't know the difference between trans and queer. So, I mean, this is like you're really kind of like at the tip of the spear if you understand the difference between those things. So I don't fault him for that.
Two women in a railway station public toilet, having accessed the female toilets. When he was arrested, his defense was that actually he identified as being female, and that was the reason that he was in the toilet. Of course, this is just a cynical attempt to avoid the suggestion of a premeditated attack by giving him a reason to be in the toilets in the first place. There was nothing about this individual to suggest that he actually behaved in a way that was feminine, or that he would be identified as appearing to be female or behaving in a female way. Instead, this was a man who took advantage of a current trend of certain individuals deciding that if they wish to identify as something that they are actually not, everybody else has to accept it.
Yeah. What that is, that's autogynephilia, which is not the same thing as being trans, okay? Autogynephiliacs don't have gender dysphoria. Autogynephiliacs are men who get turned on by having the body of a woman. Now, I'm not kink shaming or anything. Everyone has their things. It's all fine. But sexual assault is not fine and not appropriate, and especially not in a bathroom. But what we're talking about in that case is not the instance of a transgender person. We're talking about an autogynephiliac.
There have been other instances where certain prominent people have been threatened with cancellation, who have been attacked, in some instances physically, as a consequence of expressing their own views with regard to the rise of transgender activists. J.K. Rowling has found herself famously on the receiving end of unjustifiable treatment just because she's expressed her opinion.
Well, she's laughing all the way to the bank.
Naturally, what we see is the hypocrisy of certain individuals that express their opinion that I wish to identify as being female, you must now identify me as being female, you must now address me as either she or perhaps say some other pronoun. However, you are not allowed to advance an opinion in relation to me or with regard to what I am. To do so makes you some kind of hater. The contradictory behavior is significant. We've also seen instances whereby an individual repeatedly seeks to cause a brouhaha because they've not been addressed by the appropriate pronoun. It's quite simple. If those individuals wish to be known as something else, then they can do so, but they have no entitlement to believing that anybody else should enter into this deluded view that they may have. As mentioned, there are those that have sought to change from one gender to another, and they have done so in a quiet fashion. They are genuine in what they are. They wish to be different, but they do not wish to draw huge attention to themselves. But what there has been an increase in certain individuals who declare, "You must now describe me as this," exhibiting a sense of entitlement. That they say, "You are not allowed to call me by this name, but you must call me by this name," even though it doesn't fit with the general understanding of that description. It's a little bit like going along and saying, "This orange item here, which is a roughly sort of conical shape and is often eaten by rabbits, is not a carrot, it is a potato." Everybody understands that the item
It
is a
is.
carrot, has always been known by a carrot, and has all the characteristics of a carrot. But this individual determines that henceforth this shall be identified as a potato, even though it shares no
Because it was a social construct to call it as a carrot in the first place, and the only reason it was called a carrot in the first place is because of capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership, and capitalism enforced a subservient gender role onto the carrot, in which it made the carrot inferior to the cucumber or the tomato or the radish or to any of these other vegetables. And that was all the fault of capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership. And furthermore, it forced the carrot to do the unpaid labor of raising the nuclear family, which are the future generation of proletariat workers, or the future generation of carrot workers, or whatever the fuck. It's a good analogy, though. Yeah, vegetable socialism.
characteristics of what is universally understood to be a potato. Operating with such a view
Pressed
is
carrots.
deluded.
It's true.
Operating with such a view and seeking to impose that upon other people shows an absence of boundary recognition. Behaving in such a manner shows a lack of accountability for the general understood descriptions which are utilized to enable us to get through life by recognizing things
Hang on.
through appropriate descriptions.
Hang on. This is below the belt too, ladies. Don't mention mayonnaise on my channel. Mayonnaise is terrorism. The mayonnaise shall never cavort with the carrot.
So that when you're talking about requiring something that is orange and conical and beloved by rabbits, that you know that you're talking about a carrot and that you're not given a potato or an onion or a parsnip instead. Things have descriptions,
parsnip.
and they're universally accepted to aid communication, to aid identification, to aid categorization. These individuals take it upon themselves to drive their views down the throat of others without being asked to do so, demonstrating a sense of entitlement, a lack of emotional empathy for the people that they are addressing, a lack of accountability for the way that they behave. In some instances, their insistence on special treatment is indicative of grandiosity. The convoluted logic that they apply to their circumstances is redolent of magical thinking. And therefore, there is much of the behaviors of some of these individuals, not all, I emphasize, but certain ones, which would actually fit with demonstrating that this isn't actually about being transgender, but this is a narcissist that is behaving in a way to make themselves different or special.
Called out. HG Tudor was just like, they're not trans, they're just narcissists who want attention and fuel. And you know what? He might not be wrong about that. I don't think all trans people are narcissists. I think there are a lot of normal trans people that just want to be left alone. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about queer Marxists. And it's not even just that they want attention, by the way. It's that they want to bend the entire fucking world to their whim, eliminate all private property, take all of our stuff away from us, tell us we can't have businesses, we can't have our own homes, we can't even have our private kitchens. And they want to take all of our stuff away from us, which is really narcissistic, in order to bend the world to their whims. Yes, Naruto, thank you for telling me about this video. I had stopped looking at his content because he did too much Meghan Markle stuff and I was starting to get annoyed. Thank you. Not that HG Tudor isn't great. I'm just saying that I've listened to a lot of his Meghan Markle stuff and his other stuff is better.
So that they can use that to assert control over people, that they draw fuel by way of their reactions, that they acquire character traits from other people and bolt them onto a construct, that they seek certain residual benefits. The vitriolic responses that some of these individuals have exhibited when criticized for holding untenable views is demonstrative of heated, ignited fury.
I was just going to say that.
The
Heated fury.
sensitivity that they exhibit to being told you're wrong, and you're wrong in a logical fashion, is also demonstrative of a hypersensitivity to the needs for control. I emphasize this is not applicable to all individuals that are transgender, but many of you...
HG Tudor is a very diplomatic narcissist. I wonder if he's like, I don't want to get this video taken down on YouTube. I don't want to strike on YouTube. So I'm going to make sure that everyone knows I'm not talking about all trans people. I'm just talking about the crazy ones, okay? Just talking about the crazy ones. No big deal.
Watching this video, we'll be able to identify with various instances of people where you were left thinking, I'm looking at a man who has a beard, who's broad-shouldered, who speaks with a deep voice, but he's wearing a dress, and he wants me to understand that he's a woman. That doesn't fit with what a woman is. And it strikes me it's not so much about him wanting to be a woman, but rather...
Well, that's because they want to abolish all gender. It's not because they don't want men or women to exist. So they're trying to abolish all gender. This is not about going... Like, the people that do that shit, that are like the men with the full beards, those are the queer Marxists. Those are not regular trans people. Those are queer Marxists. They want to abolish the gender binary. That is the entire goal of queer Marxism.
That he wants to draw attention to himself, that he loves the attention that his transgender status brings, that there are these individuals who are genuinely transgender, but their lives have been made all the difficult by these Johnny and Janie come-latelys who have jumped on a bandwagon of transgender activism, made plenty of noises,
queer Marxism,
played the victim when criticized, gone running to the police to suggest that they are a victim of a hate crime when somebody attempts to engage them in rational debate. And it's these individuals that have made it problematic for those individuals who genuinely are transgender.
Well, that's true enough. Rottweiler, thank you for the super chat. Sure, queer activists do have narcissistic traits, entitlement, control freaks, projection, etc. But it's not the primary thing that moves them. They act on those traits to end capitalism. I mean, that's true. And they can do both, right? They can do both. Like, it's true that the only goal that queer Marxists have is to use gender ideology in order to end capitalism, which of course is defined as private property ownership. They want to abolish the gender binary because they believe that capitalism created the gender binary. And therefore, if they abolish the gender binary, that'll be an attack on capitalism and an attack on the nuclear family. So that's always the goal. But they can also get their personal, like, rocks off on it too, because they're all getting attention as they're doing this. I mean, a lot of the kids that, like, suddenly come out as trans in school when all their friends are doing it, it's because it's for positive attention. Possibly attention they didn't get as a kid because their parents were, like, I don't know, emotionally unsupportive or whatever. So I think it can be both. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. What's more narcissistic than trying to impose your worldview on everyone? I mean, I think that that's a really fair point. Because that's the problem I have. I don't care if people are narcissists. I don't care if people are crazy. I don't care if people are trans. I don't care if people are... I don't even really care if people are queer. The only issue that I have with people being queer Marxists is not that they're queer Marxists, is that they're trying to force their worldview on me. And that's where... and they're trying to take my private property away. And I don't like that. Because I don't want to live in Marxism. I think that would suck. I would be in a salt mine somewhere or gulag. That's not cool.
Naturally, these, if you will, faux transgenders will never accept
queer
what
Marxists.
They're being told. They will never accept that it's actually about requiring attention, fuel, that they need to control people.
Because that's not what it's about, HG. It's
they
about
can't
capitalism.
See it because they're likely to be unaware narcissists.
Here we go.
No matter how you explain to them, logically using the evidence, their narcissism as a distortion field will completely reject what you are explaining to them. It will not stack up for them.
See,
and they will argue with
this is the one complaint I have about HG Tudor, besides the Meghan Markle videos. I understand why he does those. It's how he makes money, whatever. But this is the big complaint I have about HG Tudor, is that I think that he only sees narcissism in everything. And I think that he's trying to basically make every single thing that happens bend to the narcissistic framework. I mean, I tried. And then fucking Carrie and her band of fucking lunatics ruined it. I tried. I was very nice to HG Tudor. I was like, it would have been like the best. I've listened to a lot of his interviews. Like, the interview that I would have had with him would have been the best interview. And I'm not saying that he's like HG Tudor would say Carlin is saying that because she is a narcissist. No. No one else asked him interesting questions. I have way more interesting questions than everyone else. But it's too late because he doesn't want to, because he interviewed with Carrie. And Carrie only interviewed with him to talk about me because Carrie's convinced that I'm a narcissist because And so Carrie fucked up the whole thing because her friends started tagging him in tweets. And then he blamed me for getting him tagged in tweets by those psychos. So too bad. But, like, this is the only complaint I have about HG Tudor. And besides the fact that he took Carrie's side, even though Carrie has a dissociative disorder, but we all make mistakes. Narcissists can't be perfect either. Is that everything HG Tudor sees in the world is like, or at least, I don't know if this is real or if this is just how he frames it for his YouTube channel, is that every single thing in the world becomes about narcissism for him. And it's like, okay, I get it. And I do actually agree with him that there are many queer Marxists that are narcissists. Okay, fine. But it's not just about feeding the narcissism. They actually do want to abolish capitalism. I've gone undercover at their events. I know what they say behind closed doors. They want to abolish capitalism. That is their goal. And the queer Marxists specifically want to abolish the gender binary as an attack on capitalism. Whatever.
Until the sun sets, that you're wrong, that you're prejudiced, that you are blinkered and bigoted. They will threaten you with legal action. They will perhaps take legal action against you.
Exactly.
All done, of course, of the nullification of threat to control for you expressing your opinion, which you're entitled to do.
That's what I'm saying, Milo.
I have seen the rise of such individuals whereby it isn't to do with being transgender, and it's everything to do with their narcissism. In the same way that certain individuals use race as a stick to beat other people and to play the race card.
Oh!
It isn't
well,
actually...
he's right about that, but not in the way that he thinks he is, because they play the race card in order to try to abolish capitalism too. Those are called race Marxists, HG. That's what critical race theory is. It's to use race to try to abolish capitalism, just like queer Marxism or queer theory is to use gender to try to abolish capitalism. So close. So if only Carrie had taught him these things when they interviewed, but no, Carrie just wanted to talk about me. Oh well.
Really about the issue of race or color. It's all about the pursuit of the prime aims. They use the issue of color to control people, to draw fuel,
well, they
to access character traits and residual benefits. And it seems to me that there is a significant proportion of those that operate within the transgender movement.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with this. I just think that, like, listen, man, HG Tudor is a narcissism and a psychopathy expert, okay? I'm losing my voice so badly right now. Whatever. I'll get through this. HG Tudor is a narcissism expert. This isn't the playground that he plays in all the time. So I'm not trying to fault him for not knowing this, because we're weird, okay? We live in this world all the time. We are like the only effing people on the internet that know what this is actually about. So I'm not trying to fault him. He does seem willing to learn.
Are not actually about it being transgender, but instead they're narcissists that have come along and utilized the transgender movement as a cover for getting to the prime aims. Not only is this problematic for the genuine activists who are genuine individuals that wish to lead transgendered lives quietly and unassumingly, but it also has resulted in clashes with people just for expressing their views and rather vitriolic attacks upon these individuals. It has resulted in police forces in the United Kingdom engaging in ridiculous wokery in order to pander to the aggressive requirements of these particular activists. Again, who hold themselves out as victims when they are not, who utilize the issue of transgenderism in an entirely inappropriate way, hijacking something that is meaningful to a certain section of the society and purloining it for their own subconscious purposes to assert control over people and draw fuel from them. A simple observation of these behaviors that accord with all of the various narcissistic indicators demonstrates that this is to be the case. But furthermore, this has also been backed up by research. A paper that has been published on the National Library of Medicine, written by Azadeh Mazari Maybodi, Ahmad Hajibi.
I'm pretty sure I'm the one that alerted him to this paper on Twitter because I tagged him in a tweet about this paper.
And Etafe Gambari Jaffe tells us about the frequency of personality disorders in patients with gender identity
wrong
disorder.
Paper. Sorry, wrong paper. I was wrong.
The background is that comorbid psychiatric disorders affect prognosis, psychosocial adjustment, and post-surgery satisfaction in patients with gender identity disorder. 73 patients requesting sex reassignment surgery were recruited for this cross-sectional study. Of the participants, 57.5% were biologically male and 42.5% were biologically female. They were assessed through the Millen Clinical Multiaxial Inventory number 2. Here is the most interesting thing. The results were that the frequency of personality disorders amongst those individuals was 81.4%. The most frequent personality disorder was narcissistic personality disorder, 57.1%.
Really? That's crazy. That's crazy. I hadn't heard about that paper. All right, HG Tudor teaching us stuff we don't know. Okay, you're the king. We know. The king narcissist.
There was a table created showing this. Narcissistic personality disorder was the highest at 57.1, obsessive compulsive at 38.6, masochistic sadistic at 34.3, paranoid.
That's why they're all into BDSM. That's why they're all into BDSM. We've been trying to figure this out for weeks.
25.7, antisocial 22.9, histrionic 17.1. You will know from my work in relation to Amber Heard that I would regard that histrionic personality disorder is just another flavor of narcissism. Understand that the percentages are greater than 100 because certain individuals presented with more than one personality disorder. It's an interesting paper. I'm not going to take you through all of the detail in relation to it. You can look it up and
HG was ahead of us tonight.
But the point is this, that it was apparent to me that many of the individuals that identify as transgender aren't actually that. And it's just their narcissism utilizing that as a means to get to the prime aims. This is clearly being borne out by this research that has been undertaken by these scientists, which identifies that in regard to more than half of the individuals in the survey, those seeking sex reassignment surgery, and thus identified as transgender, were actually narcissists. This comes as no surprise. Again, I emphasize there are individuals who are genuine about their transgender.
Again, like, so I want a paper that like overlaps autogynephilia and narcissism then, because like most of the queer Marxists that are like male to female are autogynephiliacs. They're not actually trans. I doubt he has a link to the paper, but you can go back and find the video, and he mentions it in there, so you can find it from that.
They are not narcissists. They wish to be different to what they have been born, and they're allowed to do that. But the frequency by which the more vocal individuals who attack people, who berate them for expressing an opinion, who shout them down, who don't listen, who protest, who enforce their views over other individuals, who expect to be allowed to go anywhere and be addressed in a certain way, despite their behavior not actually fitting with what they're protesting about, has increased and fits the various behaviors associated with narcissism. And that this survey has shown 57.1% of those who were subjected to the research had narcissistic personality disorder, which was the most prevalent personality disorder amongst those transgender individuals. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you, HG. We appreciate you. You definitely taught us something we didn't know tonight. That was pretty great, because I hadn't heard of that paper before. But I have bad news, guys. I have bad news. Stepmom Deb realized that her deleting her own Twitter account was not going to be an effective tactic in stopping my stream about you, Deb. So Deb has reinstated her Twitter account. So hopefully that tweet, Deb, did Deb delete all of... Hopefully that tweet, Deb, shows back up again. Let's just see. Deb's tweets are getting loaded back into the system. Let's see if that tweet that we were looking for earlier is still there. Deb. Oh, look, Deb. Dan can see his DMs with you again, Deb. Isn't that interesting, Deb? Isn't that interesting? Deb talking about me there. Deb talking about me there. What else didn't you delete, Deb? Oh, there it is. There it is. The tweet is back. We have it. Fuck you, Deb. Fuck you. Here is the tweet that Deb didn't want you to see from before. This is when she replied to this lady, Jill. And Deb says, this is in reference to Dan. Look at this. This was, thank you, Deb. Thank you, Deb. We win again, Deb. Deb, we win again. You reinstated your account, bitch. This was the only thing we didn't have. Deb was replying to this woman who says, also, I want to see those DMs that these people have been sending you, Carlin. Receipts or it didn't happen, because this story stinks like you. Who is it has the kind of following that Deb would want to destroy if they didn't denounce you? Nothing you say is believable. Now, it doesn't matter that I already had the tweet or the DM right there. Yeah, 2 for me, 0 for Deb. That doesn't matter. So then Deb proactively released the DMs, and she said, I warned Dan about her unprincipled behavior, her anti-Semitic rants, which is why he's saying, wow, is because I tagged him in a post. One of y'all posted showing 1 or 2 of them. We can see, Deb, that Dan is really scared away from me, Deb. Dan totally thinks I'm an anti-Semite, even though we're still friends. And I don't hate Dan. But totally, Deb, just because I disagree with you on Israel means I'm a totally, Deb. Yep. Yep. And said he'd be well to watch his back and his brand, lest he be tainted by someone who has openly said she hates kids, true, Christians, true, conservatives, true, especially since his brand depends on the goodwill and support of parents, especially parents from those demographics, and openly promoting someone who has attacked them so frequently isn't a good look. Now, let's be clear about this. When I say I hate kids, it means I don't particularly want to be around kids. I don't like kids. I'm allowed to not like kids, Deb. I'm allowed, okay? I'm allowed. In regards to Christians, as long as those Christians are acting Christ-like, I have no problem with them. It's just the un-Christ-like Christians I have an issue with. And in regards to conservatives, if those conservatives aren't acting like raging lunatics, I don't care about them either. And Dan doesn't think I'm an anti-Semite, Deb. Dan doesn't think I'm an anti-Semite at all. You want to know why? Because I don't hate people if they're Jewish. I hate people if they're assholes. Dan isn't an asshole. I don't hate him. So I don't care. People can have preferences, Deb. It's normal for people to have preferences. I also expressed one of my core principles, which is that I don't associate with or work with people who will work with someone unprincipled and abusive just because they have a large following. I don't care if that someone wanted to promote me to millions, if they treated other people like shit, especially other people who've gone out of their way to help me on multiple occasions. I would not associate with them or work with them. Well, Deb, that's just a bad attitude, Deb. There aren't enough of us in this space, Deb. We actually do need to work together, Deb. You need to put your derangement aside, Deb. I never once said he should denounce her, only that I didn't want to work with him if he was going to openly promote her while she was harassing me. I've already given him grade to work with him that far because he didn't know what she's done and said in the past, but it was as going on in real time, such as I could show him, and he was making excuses. I decided his values and mine were not aligned. So what Deb is saying there is Deb tried to get Dan to stop working with me because she was being an evil cunt, and Dan was like, no, I like Carlin's work, Deb. And Deb was like, Dan, I'm going to denounce you if you don't stop working with Carlin. And Dan was like, I don't care, Deb. Dan is the real hero in this entire situation. He's the one who took revenge by publicly mocking me while she was literally in the middle of sexually harassing me. As the image on the right shows, she pulled up that quote right as she was telling her audience that I needed to be tied down and sexually dominated by a man. Adding the word consensually doesn't change the nature of the commentary. It's sexual harassment. Textbook accurate. Actually, Deb. As I said, you don't have to take my very good advice that being dominated by a man would be the best thing that ever happened to you, Deb. If you want to call it sexual harassment, fine. I'm allowed to express an opinion, Deb. You've expressed many opinions about me on the internet. I'm allowed to express an opinion that getting tied to a bed and you know, being taken out of control would be the best thing that's ever happened to you. Pretty sure he's not ruined either, though there are a few more people who are skeptical of his motives than they were before, as well they should be. So what Deb is saying is that Deb convinced people to stop working with Dan because Dan wouldn't denounce me, and those people probably wouldn't have been good to work with anyway, if we're honest about it. Let's see. Wow. Deb is saying, I tried to tell you. says, yeah, but I feel like her reporting, but I like her reporting. So Dan is saying to Deb, I like her work. And Deb is saying, yeah, I can't with this, Dan. You lose my support when you do this. It's not revolutionary. She didn't undercover that. She just saw it was following her. I've seen that. I saw it 2 weeks ago. It's unprincipled to support someone who supports anti-Semites, period. And then the response was like, let's actually be reasonable about this, Deb. I want to work with people who want to work with me. And then Deb unblocked him to say that he's unprincipled, and Deb is going to make sure everyone who cares about kids, knowing he chose a psychotic pedo apologist who just openly called for her to be raped. Deb is doing the boomer thing over explaining herself. Indeed. But thank you, Deb. Thank you for bringing your Twitter account back so I could get that one last tweet in. I appreciate it, Deb. Guys, that's all I have. It's 1 a.m. Thank you for hanging out with me and doing drama tonight. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow is Sunday, so maybe I'll be streaming. Maybe. We'll see. But I'm heading out now, guys. Take care. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.